Welcome to Sweden. This is the stunning Baltic coast, just 60 miles from the Arctic Circle, near the town of Pitya. An hour flight north of Stockholm, and this is the setting for this year's ultimate driving competition. With world champions coming from across the motorsport spectrum to gather for a festival of race car driving. The 2022 Race of Champions, Snow and Ice. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Pittihavsbad in Sweden. I'm Jack Nichols. Sitting next to me here for day 2 of competition is Neil Cole.
Good morning, tjena, god morgon, all the Swedish words.
And is that, have you run out of Swedish words?
No,
now?
I have more for later.
Oh, I can't wait, I can't wait. Is it going to be goodbye in 3 hours' time? We will see. Yeah, we are here for the second day of action, the Race of Champions. We had the Nations Cup yesterday that was won by father and son duo Oliver and Petter Solberg and Norway, and today we are going to determine the champion of champions. The fans are out in force. They were treated to some spectacular action yesterday, but this is the Race of Champions, the ultimate competition to find out who is the fastest racing driver in the world.
We wanted to bring together some of the world's best drivers from all different disciplines of motorsport, make them compete on identical cars.
So in this year's event, the Rock, Snow and Ice in Sweden, 18 of the world's best drivers will be battling it out to be crowned the champion of champions. In the round of 16, a single race will decide the winner, while in the quarterfinals, drivers will race within both lanes with the fastest overall time, or the driver with 2 wins, deciding who will advance. On one side of the draw, we have the circuit racers, and on the other, the battle of the off-road legends, leaving us with plenty of legendary clashes and an epic fight for a place in the semi-finals, where in a best-of-3 format, with a third decisive final possible, we will find the fastest off-road racer in the world, the best circuit racer in the world, and then they go head-to-head in the final. Can Didier Auriol add to his 4 wins? Can Sebastian Loeb or Matthias Ekström take their 4th win? Or will we see a new name on the trophy? Sebastian Vettel arriving a little earlier on for his effort. There you can see the drivers. Häkkinen looking very cool, isn't he? Emma Kimiläinen, his teammate from Finland yesterday, but they will be in their individual competitions today. And which do you think the drivers are up for more, Neil?
They want to be outright winners on their own. You know, while it was good for them to sort of be patriotic and race for their flag yesterday and to have the camaraderie of having a teammate, but now look at that. Emma Kimiläinen and Mika Häkkinen, that's Benito Guerra. They're all out for it, number 1 today. Helmet goes on, visor comes down, foot hits the pedal, they want to win.
So first of all, we're going to have match A and B to get into the round of 16. So Coulthard, Herta and Castroneves will face off, then Chadwick and Schumacher. They will then move into the round of 16, where we'll have Vettel versus Kimiläinen, Jimmy Johnson against Mika Häkkinen, Tom Kristensen and David Coulthard meeting very early in the competition. Then we've got Guerra against Solberg, Sebastian Loeb against Petter Solberg, which will be an interesting one. The 2 Swedes, Johan Kristoffersson and Timmy Hansen, facing each other. Didier Auriol looking for his 5th Race of Champions title. He's going to be up against Matthias Ekström. We are now, and that was the second side, the off-road side of the draw, which is a nice way of doing it. First up, though, we've got Coulthard Herta from the USA, the youngest ever IndyCar race winner, and he's up against Helio Castroneves, 4-time, Indy 500 winner, and he's looking forward to this, I think, is Helio, and they're going to be out in the Polarises, and this is just a straight knockout. Whoever gets across the line quickest goes through to the round of 16.
And it's the perfect start to see them in the Polaris Razor Pro XPs, because these are for me, these are the vehicles, these side-by-sides that are absolutely the perfect guide to your first view of a full lap of the full circuit here in Pittihavsbad.
Let us know where you're watching using the hashtag RockSweden. And away they go then for the competition to get in to the round of 16. The USA flag is Coulthard Herta. He's on the inside. side. On the outside is Castroneves, and this is the full circuit. They're now onto the frozen Baltic Sea, through the Baltic bends, up towards the Husky Loop at the top of the course. This is on board with Castroneves.
And this is one of the beauties of Race of Champions is last weekend they were doing the 24 Hours of Daytona, both of them winning, one overall and Colton Herta in the LMP2 class. But now this is a short, sharp, it's the opposite of endurance, and it's the opposite of an asphalt racetrack.
So now Herta will dart right and come underneath the bridge. There will be an offset between these two laps. They're not going to be exactly the same amount of time. So although Herta has the advantage here, that lane might be a little quicker. To be honest, he doesn't have much of an advantage as they come across the line, and there's half a second between them now as they switch lanes. And we'll see what happens in this second run, because we saw that it's longer around the first couple of corners. That kind of puts you at a disadvantage, but then you gain the time back because you don't have to go under the bridge, you go over the top. Rear wheel locking there as they fling it through this sequence of corners.
And as you can see, there's a lot of pitch and roll, sporty suspension, four-wheel drive, and because they're a small side-by-side, you can really throw it around in the wider sections of this track.
This might be tight, this one, because here comes Castroneves now, slows it down under the bridge. He's still got a little left-hand loop to come, whereas Herta is going to be straight over the top and towards the line, and I think the American's going to get it here. In the blue Polaris, takes the checkered flag. Colton Herta advances through to the round of 16. A 1 minute 42.685 in the Polaris.
So Colton was excellent yesterday in the Rock Nations Cup, progressing to the final with Jimmy Johnson, and obviously early this morning, continuing that form. It's a shame for Helio that his day ends so early.
Herta beat him yesterday in their meeting in the Nations Cup, and he's made it 2 out of 2 versus the 4-time Indy 500 winner. It was close-ish.
Yeah, it's good to see that we will get them side by side in the side by sides across the line. It'll be interesting to see the times in the different vehicles as well.
Next up, Jamie Chadwick, the 2-times W Series champion, making her Race of Champions debut up against Mick Schumacher, the Formula 2 champion, just completed his first season in Formula 1, his second Race of Champions appearance. So there is Schumacher with the German flag on the back. This is going to be an interesting fight, this one.
Yeah, and of course we've switched from the side-by-sides, the Polaris Razor, to the rallycross car, and this is one of those cars that it made its debut in Miami in 2017, and immediately the drivers went, oh yeah, this is fun. But that was on tarmac. You know, this is a very different kettle of fish, but these are built, four-wheel drive, pocket supercars, built to go sideways and to be treated like a rally and a rallycross car.
Schumacher on the left, Chadwick on the right. Long hold. Down into the first corner. Schumacher got away nicely, but he'll drop back through this long left-hander that just tightens and tightens simply because he's got further ground to cover. Chadwick starts to pull away. Herta on the right there, Vettel on the left. Chadwick is out in front at the moment.
So even though these aren't narrow tyres, they've got 5mm studs, so actually you've got more grip on the snow and ice than you would normally on gravel, so that you really can trust that it's going to corner. There's some really good cornering from these two, not their natural habitat at all.
No, absolutely not. Chadwick with a bit of experience doing the few rounds of Extreme E this season. Over the bridge comes Schumacher, and he is going to be just ahead as they come across the line. Big sideways there for Chadwick, 51.8, so a couple of seconds apart as they come through the arch for the first time. But Chadwick is going to gain the advantage coming back over the bridge, so this could still be a pretty tight one. Here they come through the Baltic bends. Here's Chadwick.
A little pull on the bar there to get it sideways, using the handbrake, hydraulic handbrake on this. exactly the right way to get around several of these corners.
Her passenger yesterday, well, I'll tell that story later because we're getting towards the end, and it was quite a long-winded one. Here comes Schumacher under the bridge now. Chadwick's going to be on the power, coming over the bridge, swings it through the left-hander. This is going to be pretty close. This might go to Jamie Chadwick here. They emerge towards the line, and it is Chadwick. Jamie Chadwick beats Mick Schumacher and advances through to the round of 16 by 1.4 seconds.
Top job, Jamie Chadwick. Disappointment for Mick Schumacher. And look, surprise on the face of Sebastian Vettel, his teammate from yesterday. But just watch how the studs dip in and just how much traction that gets off the line. Neat and tidy from Mick, but sometimes in these cars that's not the way to do it. You want to be, when we see the rallycross and the rally drivers and the off-road stars in the second half of the draw, you'll see a lot more sideways, sort of pointing the nose in, right in at the apex, the snowbank of every one of these corners. But brilliant to see the full track, isn't it, Jack? Like,
yeah.
Yes, the way that it stretches out. So half of it is on the beach and half of it is actually on the frozen sea. So the part that you can see out towards the horizon is actually on frozen sea.
The DJ here loves the Foo Fighters.
What's not to love?
I know, it's just absolutely non-stop.
So it's about 6 -5 at the moment, and there is the threat of snow. So we might actually get snow during the course of this event, which would certainly throw the cat among the pigeons.
Earlier on today, we had our celebrity competition, and in the semi-finals, well, we've got 3 skiers and a tennis player competing. There is Ingemar Stenmark, one of the world's greatest skiers, 1986 World Cup winner. And he managed to win his semi-final as he came out across the line driving these Porsches. And it was a very impressive performance from Stenmark, who has done some racing in the Porsche Carrera Cup Scandinavia over the last few years. And then it was Axel Lund Svindal, the 9-time world champion, legend of the sport, and the Norwegian, a passionate motorsport fan, and he beat Jonas Bjorkman, the former world number 4 tennis player, in the semi-finals. So as a result, it is Axel Lund Svindal versus Ingemar Stenmark in the final. 2 legends on snow, and we'll see what they got here, Neil.
Yeah, and a chance to see the Porsche in action. The Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport, and the fact that we've opened up the track to be the full track is much better for these cars. You'll really see them stretch their legs, and it's interesting that he's such a slalom legend, and you've got to treat this section of the track like a slalom ski slope.
Absolutely. He'll be winding down the window, putting his arm out and whacking those poles, won't he?
Yes, and you don't get penalised for whacking the poles here, just like you don't in the slalom, so perfect.
Absolutely. So there is Svindal in the blue. He's about to come over the bridge. Stenmark swings it right underneath the bridge. And this is coming up to the halfway point, and it is going to be Svindal who is ahead at the moment across the line, and his advantage is pretty decent over Stenmark, about 4.1 seconds, but we'll see whether Stenmark can get the time back in the second half of this lap.
It's a good chance as well to see in the celebrity race the track conditions, the fact that it's a mixture of packed snow, frozen water, snow, water. It's been heavily graded and treated to make it as reliable as possible. Of course, every single car that goes through with its studded tyres will slightly change the track conditions.
Yeah, especially if the snow comes down later on, as you were saying a little earlier. Here comes Svindal then under the bridge. It looks like he might be able to take this one. Stenmark is going to be a little quicker through the final couple of corners, because he's just going to be going flat out over the bridge, but Svindal kicks the back end out, and I think the celebrity race, oh, nearly spoke too soon.
Wow.
Tank slapper, he makes it.
And on the inside, he's going into the snowbank. Did he make it through?
Axel Lund Svindal wins by just 0.8 of a second in the end. All got a little leery right at the end there, but the Norwegian skiing legend beats the Swedish skiing legend and wins the Race of Champions Celebrity Challenge.
It was a fishtailing across the finish line.
Absolutely. Now we're going to get going with the first of the round of 16. Jamie Chadwick against Colton Herta. Here's a look at the RX2E. 335 brake horsepower. And that's the car they're going to be using for this one.
Most importantly, it is all electric, so it's instant, infinite torque. You put your foot down, and if you want it to slow down, you've got to put, you know, you're not able to use engine brakes. You're not able to sort of guide yourself around the corners using the gears changing down. You've literally got to judge with the throttle and with the brake.
There's a reminder of the round of 16 fights that we're going to be seeing. Andy says, using hashtag Rock Sweden, they're back on the original track, so unfortunately no Chadwick corner. But away they go now. Chadwick versus Colton Herta for a place in the quarterfinals. Chadwick on the left in the orange. Colton Herta on the grey for the USA, and he's sprinting away at the moment. Chadwick a little bit loose coming out of turn 2 there, I think.
Yeah, a little bit too wide, but that's just a question of getting a proper sense of how this electric rallycross car actually handles. You know, if you're on the accelerator coming out of that long sweeping left-hander, then it's just going to go, and that's what she found. It went wide.
Herta swinging it through the right. Chadwick over the bridge, so she is ahead as they start the second half of the lap. 1.5 seconds is the advantage, and that gap will extend as they come through these first 2 turns, but it'll all come down to the bridge in a moment. There is Herta really leaning on the car. He was so impressive yesterday, Colton Herta, and Chadwick has been impressing so far today, beating Mick Schumacher up to the long, husky loop.
You can see how a couple of the bumps as you transition from sea to beach unsettles the car a little bit, but this has got such good suspension that it grips immediately.
Oh, Chadwick's gone all the way around. Chadwick's in the bank. I was just about to say how close it looked like being, but it's just a little too much for Chadwick. Herta's all over the place as he crosses the line, but he takes the win and advances through to the quarterfinal.
Real shame for Jamie there.
Swings it out of the final turn, comes across the line now, but that was really close until that point.
And I think it was about getting it crossed up to almost do a Scandinavian flick to get the car set up to go under the bridge, and it looked, the first half of the Scandi flick just went a little bit too far. Well,
good race nevertheless. Just slipped away from Chadwick right at the end. That was her over the bridge. And then here it was, just setting it up, as Neil said, and too much.
One of the advantages of it being an electric car is all that snow in the front grille doesn't really matter because there's no radiator to block. You don't have to cool the engine because there's no engine. It's just a powertrain with a massive battery in the bottom. That is a problem, though, for later. You know, if you bury one of the internal combustion engine cars in the snowbank and going again, you're in danger of overheating the engine. So that's one of the tricks of racing on snow and ice.
So Herta advances through to the quarterfinal. Next up, Sebastian Vettel, the 4-time Formula 1 world champion, against Emma Kimiläinen, the W Series racer. We've already seen one W Series driver beat a German today. When Chadwick beat Schumacher, we'll see what Kimiläinen can do against Sebastian Vettel. Kimiläinen on the left, Vettel on the right, and they are in the Polaris cars.
I'm quite excited by this straight knockout format because it's all or nothing. Go hard or go home.
Good start from Vettel.
I love the way these razors dip up on acceleration and dip down in front when you brake.
Well, that was actually something Chadwick was saying yesterday, because she's fairly diminutive. When she hits the throttle, she's then just looking at the sky and can't really see what's going on. Hits the brakes and it's like, oh, there's the corner, great. Here comes Kimiläinen through the Baltic bends, and Vettel has quite a decent advantage here. You'll see the advantage be different in the different cars as well, so that also makes it really tricky to judge in the early stages.
And actually, in the early races so far, the lap times in each of the different cars we've had have all been very similar. The race times around the 140, 142 mark. So it is a very similar pace for every vehicle. But they're super close.
Side by side over the line this time.
In the side by sides.
Kimiläinen will now be on the inside. Vettel was 600ths ahead. But I would suggest that means that Vettel's got a bit of an advantage at the moment. He's going to close in when they come through the bridge. Kimiläinen now starting to pull away. She's in that leading Polaris, but when it gets through the slow stuff under the bridge, Vettel will have the opportunity to close back in. Just felt a little not smooth for Kimiläinen through the Husky loop. And this is Vettel's opportunity as Kimiläinen swings it left. Right, even. Under the bridge, then round to the left. Vettel over the bridge and on the power. It's going to be tight, but it's going to be Vettel. Checker flag there. Vettel is through. He'll face Coulthard Herta in the quarterfinals. 2.2 seconds, the margin in the end.
You can see his eyes smiling there. Sebastian Vettel's having such a good, fun weekend. He's been taking passenger rides. I think he's been in the Audi S1 with Stig Blomqvist. He's absolutely loving doing Race of Champions, and that's why he keeps coming back year after year. I'm very impressed with Emma Kimiläinen. She's got experience in touring cars as well as her more recent single-seater prowess. Her rookie year in Race of Champions, I'm sure we'll see her again in the future, especially if it remains on snow and ice.
There was Vettel across the line. Great performance from Kimiläinen. Sebastian Vettel, who advances through to the quarterfinals. He will face Coulthard Herta. A little bit chilly today, hence the jumping around. Colder than yesterday. Yesterday was very pleasant and mild, relatively.
Yeah, it was a balmy -1.
Jimmy Johnson, 7-time NASCAR Cup champion, now IndyCar racer, up against Mika Häkkinen, Formula One world champion in 1998 and 1999. Yep, him. And there he is, getting ready to go up against Jimmy Johnson. Cheryl says, when I see Herta and Johnson doing well, it reminds me of the Jamaican bobsleigh team. It just really shouldn't be possible, which I think is a pretty good comparison, actually, for the two Californian men. Let's see what Jimmy Johnson can do against Mika Häkkinen. Now, they did race yesterday, and Johnson did win it. And they're in the Porsches, and Johnson was incredibly impressive in the Porsche yesterday. Check out Race of Champions social media for Mika Häkkinen's guide to how to be a quick racing driver. Very amusing. Away they go. Oh, Johnson really struggling for grip. Häkkinen managed to find some traction there. Johnson was just struggling to get any power down at all.
So the beauty of these Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sports is that obviously they're a racing car. So putting them on snow and ice challenges them hugely, but it's rear-wheel drive. And along here, you're probably getting up to the third gear for only twice on the lap. And a real chance for them to stretch their legs after they were, a handful, to be frank, around the hairpins yesterday. But with these long, open corners, a real chance to put the hammer down and to not put it into the snowbanks.
There's Häkkinen. Coming to the bridge now. And who's going to emerge in front at the halfway mark? I think it's going to be Häkkinen. He's got a bit of an advantage over Jimmy Johnson, but now he's into the, in theory, slower lap. Well, he's quicker around the first part, but then it's slower around the end.
And the tricky thing over the start-finish line is you've got 425 brake horsepower coming through those rear wheels, and you really just want to gun it. But at the end of that straight, there's a sharp left that you've got to make.
There is Emma Kimiläinen watching teammate Mika Häkkinen, teammate from yesterday anyway. It's all about the individual competition today. Häkkinen tiptoeing his way around the Baltic Loop. Maybe he's just losing a little bit of momentum there. He's going to be slower underneath, and this is where the Porsche can really come into its own with the flat-out blast over the bridge and across the line. Here comes Jimmy Johnson. This is going to be tight, but I think Häkkinen's going to struggle to get it out of the bridge quickly enough. Johnson across the line. Johnson through. Jimmy Johnson beats Mika Häkkinen by just over 3 seconds. Superb performance this from Jimmy Johnson. Both Americans into the quarterfinals. We could have an all-American semi. And look at this, Johnson barely got away from the line, did he? I honestly thought there might be a problem with the car, but he managed to find the traction in the end. That's when these Porsches look great.
I love it, it's a beautiful car. Six-cylinder mid-mounted boxer engine, but it's actually light. There's a lot of aluminium and sort of lightweight bodywork on that, just to make it an absolutely beautiful race car. I'd quite like one.
Yeah?
Yeah, please.
Is that you asking for one publicly on air?
Well, if there's a spare one. To be honest, I want all of these cars.
Yeah. Next up, Tom Kristensen. 9-time Le Mans 24-hour winner against David Coulthard. He's won the Champion of Champions twice and 13 Formula One Grand Prix.
This is an absolute Race of Champions classic. I think both of these drivers have been to almost as many Race of Champions as I have. And, you know, Tom Kristensen has been in the final so many times, but never actually won the Champion of Champions. He's won the Rock Nations Cup, but he's never done the individual business on the Sunday, whereas DC, as you said, has done it twice in Barbados and in Riyadh.
Slightly different weather conditions.
Just check the watch. What time is it?
I mean, DC's product placement is not subtle, is it? I mean, seriously. Love him for it. David Coulthard versus Tom Kristensen in the round of 16. The winner of this will face Jimmy Johnson in the quarterfinals. Coulthard on the left, Kristensen on the right.
Obviously, we're not going to hear the engine revving for the launch control because it's an electric powertrain. There we go.
The left-hander. Kristensen with the advantage. Coulthard straight in the bank. He's managed to keep it going. Bit of wall riding there from DC.
I don't think we've seen anyone hit the wall there.
No. Always finding new ways of crashing, David Coulthard. But he's managed to keep it going so far. On the outside line. Through the left-hander at the Husky Loop. Under the bridge comes Kristensen.
So at this point, Kristensen will not know that he possibly has an advantage, that DC's made a mistake. That's critical because you're not riding alongside until you cross the start-finish line.
Really together again. 7/10 of a second between them. Coulthard now on the inside for the first couple of corners.
Steering wheel is never straight, but that's how you drive these cars.
Coulthard really leaning on it as he comes up into the loop. I thought he got in deep there, but he kept it all together.
I thought that was nicely done.
It's coming under the bridge now, though. Where's Tom Kristensen? The answer is right there. In the black car, this is going to be very, very close. Kristensen on the power. Wow. Gets it at the line.
Is he going to get it stopped? Yes. So he knows that if he throws it sideways, he's got more chance of stopping. That was a brilliant final corner exit.
Kristensen takes the win by 0.4 of a second.
Coulthard will be ruining that brush with the snowbank on the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, watch the blue card there on the right-hand side. Just a little kiss.
But he's lucky he didn't get to the edge of the lip of the access road there, because that would have really spun him around.
So Kristensen advances ahead of that man, David Coulthard. Oh, here we go. Nice super slow-mo. Lovely. Vettel and Chadwick having a chat. Kristensen is through to the quarterfinals, and that concludes the round of 16 for our circuit racers. They are all through to the quarterfinal. Herta, Vettel, Johnson and Kristensen. So now we move on to the other side of the draw, which is going to be the off-road racers. So those who are perhaps a little more at home in these track conditions.
A little more at home, definitely. I mean, what's great is that they've all had a chance to practice as much as they can. But
well, let's check in with Molly Pettit, shall we, for the first time today, see who she's caught up with. Molly.
I hate watching racing when you're not in it. Jamie, you did such an impressive job against Mick Schumacher in that first race, but then a bit of snowbank action in the second one. Talk us through what happened.
A bit of carbon copy from yesterday, isn't it? Yeah, I made obviously a mistake yesterday, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to do it today. And honestly, I was surprised to beat Mick and the pace. I wasn't actually that comfortable in either car, so yeah, I was sort of surprised myself, but obviously maybe a bit too much and ended up in the snowbank. So yeah, I'm going to kick myself for a while for that one.
How do you feel about your progression, though, on this surface and in those different cars since yesterday?
Yeah, good. I mean, yeah, it's been quite tricky to actually really know where I've sort of stood. So I never knew if I was quick or not until you go head-to-head. So, yeah, that makes it quite tricky. But at the same time, it's been so much fun just learning to drive these cars on this surface. So, yeah, huge thanks to Racer Champions for having me. Hopefully I can be involved again to come back and redeem myself. But, yeah, it's been awesome.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Cheers. Thank you.
Great to hear from Jamie Chadwick. And, yeah, she was frustrated with her error yesterday. Was most frustrated with her passenger, because her passenger apparently was a woman who'd taken her to go and meet the Huskies and stuff a couple of days ago, and the passenger got 2 corners before a tap into a snowbank, so she wanted to try and find that passenger again today, but she is out, unfortunately.
To be honest, that nearly happened to me when I was riding the Huskies around this track on Wednesday morning.
What, you nearly went in the barriers?
Oh, goodness me, yes, many, many times. They are so powerful, and you're being dragged by raw, natural power. 8 wild Siberian Husky dogs dragging you on a tiny sled. I can have maximum respect for anyone who does that.
Cameron says that apparently I said Herta and Vettel through to the quarterfinals.
Well, they did hurtle to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, exactly. Herta and Vettel are going to be going through to the quarterfinals to face each other, and then it'll be Johnson versus Kristoffersson. We've still got the rest of the off-road drivers to come. Guerra against Solberg first of all, and they're also going to get a little demonstration of this FC1X, Neil.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this weekend has been a world reveal. It might be one of the first times we've seen this car in action, but it is a 1,000 brake horsepower, one of the most powerful supercars ever built, all electric.
So we are getting ready for the second batch of the round of 16 competition here in Pitterhavsbad in Sweden. This is the race of champions, head-to-heads to find out who's going to be the champion of champions. Neil Cole and myself, Jack Nichols, with you here on a pleasant day. Not quite as beautiful sunshine as yesterday. You can see some threatening dark clouds over there. Luckily we're inside. Out and about is Molly Pettit. Let's find out who she's caught up with now. Molly.
Seb, you just beat Emma Kimiläinen, moving to the quarterfinals. What's it like being back on the main track today?
Oh, it's good. It's a bit more exciting. It's a bit of a longer race. Yesterday was very short, but maybe also because we were out fairly quickly. So today maybe I get into the groove a little bit more. Let's see the next round against Coulthard, I think. So, yeah, you never know with this format and with this type of racing. So I enjoy, and let's see how far I get.
What are the conditions like out there?
Slippery, which I guess is normal for ice and snow. But it's fun. I don't have that much experience, so I struggle a little bit to adapt, but hopefully I stay in and get a bit more track time.
Do you feel that you're progressing quite a lot on this surface?
Yeah, I feel I learn every time I get out, so I guess that's a good sign. And it's also a sign that I still have so much to learn. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, going sideways is normally not what I try to do, and it's more what I try to avoid. So here you need to find the right mixture.
And how are you enjoying this Race of Champions family atmosphere this year?
No, it's great. I think, you know, it's nice to get together, and obviously after the 2 years where we didn't have the Race of Champions. It's great to be back, and especially here to be on ice on a different surface. It's great. It's great to have the fans out there, to have spectators as well. So nice to have a bit of normality coming back.
And do you reckon you have quite a good chance to win today against all the Scandinavians?
Maybe a very outside chance, but maybe that's the one I take.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, he's won with outside chances before, has Sebastian Vettel. You think of the 2007 Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Also, to be honest, the 2010 Formula One World Championship, he was very much the outsider coming into that final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. This is the Nitro Rallycross car. You gave us a little bit of explanation about it earlier on, Neil, but it's a really amazing piece of kit. Yesterday it was out there on track the same time as the Audi Quattro, and it didn't look out of place at all.
Absolutely, prepared by the same operation that have prepared the supercar lights and the RX2E car. But it is, as I understand it, it should be the headline car, the top level car for Nitro Rallycross this coming season. 1,000 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 1.5 seconds, four-wheel drive, all electric, and a very impressive aero. I love that wing on the back.
Yeah, it's very unique looking, isn't it? And distinctive looking.
Well, it's kind of based on an SUV body shape, isn't it? It's much more of an SUV than a standard sort of rally shell. But a beautiful display. And I presume, I think it might be Kevin Eriksson driving that car. Didn't get a chance to look in the cockpit. But yeah, beautiful piece of kit and a treat for you guys because that's not really been seen in action anywhere else.
Aaron Riley says, loving the change this year. 2023 jet skis. There's a thought.
Talking about that nice interview with Sebastian Vettel, the last time it was this cold was when we were in the Olympic Stadium in London. And he won that year. That was 2015. He became champion of champions for the first time, I think, in the Olympic Stadium in London. And it was so cold. Anyone who went will remember how cold it was. And then before that, it was 2009 when we had snow at the Bird's Nest Stadium in Beijing. Topically, with the Winter Games happening there as we speak.
Yeah,
this is now the digger race. It's not. They're just regrading the track to make sure it's fair for everybody.
That is Elio Castroneves in the yellow digger. And he's alongside Sebastian Loeb. That's good stuff. They're just preparing the track and keeping it all clear. Very Winter Olympic style, actually, isn't it? It's like half-time in the ice hockey or something like that. Oliver Solberg won the Nations Cup yesterday. He's getting ready to head out and face Benny Guerra, the Mexican.
So this should be an interesting one. Benito Guerra, the 2012 Production World Rally champion, has got decades of rally experience all around the world. Will have driven on snow and ice at Rally Sweden, but he'll have nothing like the experience of his much younger competitor rival today, because Ollie's basically grown up throwing cross carts around on snow and ice, around where he lives with mum and dad, Vanilla and Petter Solberg.
Great to see the fans out in force here in Sweden, enjoying the action that they are seeing. Almost time to get going with the next batch of round of 16. Before we do, let's see what legend Molly is with now.
DC, still with a smile on your face, but that first corner, talk to us about that one.
Yeah, I sort of went kissing the banking a bit too much, and I thought I was going to get stuck, but I managed to get myself out. But I lost a bit of time, but in the end, it's always great to race against Tom. We seem to have come up against each other many times over the years in Race of Champions, and I now hope he wins the overall event.
What did he say to you after the race?
Tom's a gentleman, so he was like, he said he felt he was quicker on the first lap. He thought I was quicker on the second lap. He didn't know that I'd gone into the snow banking a little bit, but no, he's a gent, and of course we want to do the best we can, but in the end, this whole spirit of Race of Champions, is not a bitter thing when you lose, because it's so much fun. So it's been great to be here in Sweden. Big credit to all the crowd standing there in the cold. I think they all deserve trophies for that. And I'd never heard of this area before, but I think it really helps put PTO on the map.
You've not only been racing out on track, but have you been actually ice swimming as well?
I went in the cold water last night, but I'd had a few Heinekens before. And Heineken is not only a fantastic beer, it warms the body from the inside. So I didn't really feel the cold. So I don't know what the big deal is.
I've asked the other drivers this, but how much do you feel you progressed on this surface?
I definitely have made big improvements over the course of the last couple of days, because it's a unique surface for me, and I've enjoyed driving it. I've enjoyed watching the professional rally and rallycross drivers. I've enjoyed having my old teammate Mika come and join me.
Yeah.
Come here.
Come in, Mika.
I've enjoyed having the opportunity
Fantastic, I tell you.
to finally get him here.
I tell you. I learned so much.
Yeah, I taught you so much.
But don't ask what.
No, but it's like I
still
taught you
thinking.
in Formula One, so you listened to me in Formula One, but you didn't really listen to me here.
Couple of times. David has been fantastic. He's been helping a lot. Because this is my first time, of course. David has been here many times. Well, not here, but
yeah,
exactly. So he gave me a lot of advices.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, good. And then we're going after this. We're going to
Sauna.
yeah, no, but
and we're gonna jump on a hole on a lake.
no, but also we go for a couple of days holiday together in Finland.
That is correct.
First time I'm taking vacation in Finland, but thanks to my old teammate, and thank you for paying for everything. I really appreciate that.
Man, it's my pleasure.
I never saw him with a
know that,
wallet.
actually.
I never saw. Do you have a wallet? I've never seen it.
I have to go now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
It's just Bantageddon, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful, this place. Next up, Oliver Solberg. And he is going to be facing the Mexican for a place in the next round. Benito Guerra, 2019 champion of champions at Race of Champions. I'm now getting slated, meanwhile, on social media for calling it half-time in the ice hockey, because apparently it's 3 periods.
Yeah, because half-time is in the
There
middle
is
of the
no
middle.
half-time, so yeah, apologies for any ice hockey fans that I've offended with my lack of knowledge. Round of 16 for the off-road races. Guerra against Oliver Solberg, Loeb against Petter Solberg, Johan Kristoffersson against Timmy Hansen, Didier Auriol and Matthias Ekström.
Those two middle matchups are absolute grudge matches. Loeb versus Solberg and Hansen versus Kristoffersson. I cannot wait. But this should be really good. Don't forget, Benito Guerra is the reigning champion of champions. We haven't had a real Race of Champions since Mexico 2019, where he won. So he is defending his title. It feels like it's a long time ago, and it was. And Oliver Solberg, yesterday's winner. So this is a champion from 3 years ago versus yesterday's champion. You'll notice that Ollie has the Swedish flag on his roof because he is technically Swedish, dual nationality Norwegian.
Solberg on the outside at the first couple of corners. Guerra on the inside in the orange Polaris. Through those tighter turns, he starts to pull ahead a little bit as they come through the Baltic bends. There is Solberg.
Exactly the same driving expression that his dad had through his World Rally Championship.
And his passenger looks like she is having an experience at the moment as well, which I very much enjoyed when we saw that front-facing camera. Here comes Guerra.
Look at the pitch and roll on that. Such a brilliant way to throw these razor side-by-sides around.
So, halfway mark, Solberg has the advantage by about 3 seconds over Benito Guerra, but Guerra will be on the quicker end of the circuit this time around. On the power. See the studs on the wheel.
And that suspension travel, love it. Fever for that.
Solberg.
Beautiful, look at the way the wheels are pointing the wrong way. That's exactly how you take that long bend.
Slings it through, beautiful stuff. Guerra following, but Solberg is going to be slowing down to get underneath the bridge. Pings it into the right. Where is Guerra? He's too far back, surely. Solberg getting on the power now, out towards the line, and it's going to be comfortable. Oliver Solberg is through. And Benito Guerra finishes in second place, 3 seconds back.
That's Pernilla, Oliver's mum. Very impressed with Oliver Solberg, and brilliant that he's got his Hyundai factory drive in the WRC this year. Disappointment though for Benito Guerra, because that means the defending champion is out. Will we see a new name today? It's entirely plausible with a lot of newcomers and a lot of people in the field still that haven't won Champion of Champions. Will it be this guy?
Well, there's a potential. It'll be the Solbergs against each other in the quarterfinal.
True.
If Petter beats Sebastian Loeb.
Look at the commitment through there, I love it. He looks over his shoulder to make sure he has one.
Fantastic stuff. Just the focus, I just love it.
And with Coulthard and Herta still in, the two youngest drivers, the two Rock rookies, could have a real chance of progressing and meeting each other in the final.
Right. Next up, we're going to have Sebastian Loeb against Petter Solberg. Loeb, 9-time World Rally Champion. 3 Race of Champion appearances before. Petter Solberg, World Rally Champion 2. Only the 1 time, but now the reigning Rock Nations Cup winner.
And this is I've been looking since the draw. I've been looking forward to this race since it was first announced, because Petter Solberg was the last world champion in 2003 before the Sebastian Loeb era of dominance, 9 times world champion. And I know that still sticks in Petter's craw a little bit.
Away they go in the electric cars, and it is Loeb on the right in the grey. On the outside in the orange is Petter Solberg. Loeb really hooking it up and keeping it nice and tight through the first couple of corners. Then they start to stretch their legs through the Baltic bends up towards the loop. And this is on board with Petter.
And as you'll see, he used the handbrake a little bit there. So this handles very much like a traditional rallycross car, but the powertrain is electric. So all you've got to do is throttle and brake and handbrake. There is no gear changing to throw the car and use the engine braking to get it around the corners, which is something that these 2 drivers are very used to, the traditional way, not this way of driving.
On the power over the bridge, and they are neck and neck at the end of the first half of the lap. Huge sideways for Loeb.
Brilliant to see.
Solberg pings it in to turn 2, and he's sideways all the way around there. It's just fantastic. This is going to be so close.
In the interview yesterday, Petter was saying that one of the reasons he really wanted to do Race Champions this weekend was because he watched Sebastian Loeb win Monte Carlo on his comeback about 3 weeks ago, having just done the Dakar. So he was like, well, if Seb can do it, I can do it. And that's the spirit of these 2.
Can he do it, though? He's coming underneath the bridge now. Loeb is going to be on the power before, and this is going to be so close. They're both on the power towards the line. Loeb's got more speed, and Solberg overdoes it. Loeb takes the win!
Loeb's only just made it. He spent most of the out section of the start-finish straight sideways trying to shave off speed. Wow, what a finish.
Absolutely fantastic. But Sebastian Loeb takes it right at the line.
Nice to see Petter smiling there, but he's had to deal with that quite a lot in his career. With this man being just 1 step better.
It was just a privilege to watch them. Look how close it was, but then here, just a little too sideways, I think, for Solberg. There's the moment. And I don't know if you can lip read.
Yeah, I don't think he expected to see the rocket that was Sebastian Loeb launching past him as he came around that final corner. Brilliant race. But then this one, hot on its heels, is another one. So this should be Kristoffersson versus Hansen, and that's Timmy Hansen, the 1-time World Rallycross champion, Johan Kristoffersson, the 4-time World Rallycross champion.
Kristoffersson making his 3rd Race of Champions appearance. He's He's won the Nations Cup before. Timmy Hansen, the 2019 World Rallycross champion, his debut at the Race of Champions.
And just to recap, these guys finished the last season, the 2021 World Rallycross Championship, level on points. So it was decided on countback between these two, and Johan Kristoffersson won. But it snowed at the Nürburgring for that weekend. So this feels like it's almost like a round two of the grand finale of the World Rallycross season last year. Two Swedes, two champions. Who's going to win?
This for a place in the quarterfinal. Into the first corner. It's Kristoffersson in the orange. It's Hansen in the black. Kristoffersson will get a little ahead as they come into the Baltic bends because of the shorter nature of turns 1 and 2.
Brilliant to watch the way Timmy Hansen took that first corner, because it looks like he was going wide, but he was setting up for the next corner to fling it round to the right. It's like...
Up through the Husky loop. Kristoffersson here, coming under the bridge. Fantastic sound from those cars, I just love it. And the advantage at the halfway mark is going to go to Timmy Hansen. And that advantage will extend through the first couple of corners. Kristoffersson will then have the opportunity to gain it back in the final few corners because he'll be able to go flat out over the bridge. But this is feeling like quite a big advantage for Timmy Hansen, to be honest with you.
These basically, they're supercar lights, so it's very, very similar to the cars that these guys drive in the World Rallycross Championship. It's just smaller and lighter, so about 330 brake horsepower out.
Timmy Hansen! Hansen's off. He's got onto the other track.
He's changed lanes.
Hansen changing lanes. I don't know if he indicated, but he's covered in snow, and that therefore is going to send Johan Kristoffersson through. What on earth happened? Timmy Hansen looked to have it all under control, but suddenly he decided to make his own track, and he comes out and across the line. What went on there? We'll obviously have a look back in a moment.
But in the rematch from the 2021 World Rallycross, and to be fair, the rivalry from the last several seasons of World Rallycross, from Rallycross dynasties, the Kristofferssons and the Hansens, that rivalry will continue.
So, Hansen, I really thought was in control of that one.
Until he lost control.
Correct.
So let's see what happens. So
is this it here? Oh, he's lost it there. Coming up into the Husky loop. And then he's just sort of kept on the power and now driving over the separator into
Kristoffersson's lane.
Kristoffersson's lane, and I thought, right, well, I better get back over. Kristoffersson arrives, thinking, what on earth is going on? Here we go, this is on board with Hansen.
Look at the passenger's reaction.
The passengers completely blank. They wow. So tremendous stuff.
Unexpected, big mistake from Timmy Hansen. But I think Johan did well to not get thrown by having a car in his lane suddenly.
Absolutely. Tremendous stuff. So, Johan Kristoffersson goes through. And we've got a couple of Porsches getting ready to go next.
But if you needed an advert for just how good those supercar lights are as an off-road vehicle, it coped beautifully with riding over a snowbank twice. Once accidentally, once deliberately, but it had absolutely no trouble with that obstacle. So if you thought the Polaris Razor was the right car for a proper rock crawling and off-roading, then actually maybe consider the RX supercar light.
I don't actually know what the rules and regulations are concerning going into the other lane.
Well, it's irrelevant because he's out. But
no, but if he could have stayed in that lane and finished ahead of Kristoffersson.
Yeah,
I'm sure obviously that wouldn't have counted. I was being facetious in a shocking turn of events. Jimmy Johnson having a chat with Oliver Solberg as the snow comes in now.
Well, this is going to switch things up.
It is, isn't it?
Because this snow really does settle. I mean, if it stays like this, then every single race there will be snow drifting on the track, there'll be snow settling on the track. It will utterly change racing conditions from here on.
Cool.
Literally.
Cool. So we are here in Pity Havsbad. You can see the snow coming down almost horizontal when the wind picks up around here. I tell you, it's Baltic.
Hey, literally Baltic.
Yeah.
I love it.
And the fans are going to have their work cut out, to be honest, to stay and watch. But they're enjoying it by the looks of things. Let's go down to Molly, see what she's up to.
Well, Timmy, it's great to see you still smiling. You did actually tell me earlier that you were going to give it everything today, but tell us what happened there.
Yeah, I did. You know, being up against Johan, they're talking to All Black, so I had a brilliant run up until there. But that line is a bit tighter on the inside, and the rear just stepped out and hooked into the snow, and I went off. But the run until then was very good. So it feels tough to have done that mistake, but. All right, now I hope that Johan goes on and have a great day, you know, to represent Sweden, to take a win here at home.
But it was a very impressive recovery from you. You kept your cool.
Yeah, I just kept the throttle down, and I thought, like, I better just try and get over back to my side. And yeah, the wipers didn't work at that point, but you know, I gave it everything, and I knew that this would be a tough race for me. I had a very tough draw all the way, so there was only one way, you know, flat out, and I did, and I didn't, you know, leave anything to spare. So I had a lot of fun today, and now I'm just gonna sit back and look at enjoy the action.
Thank you very much, Timmy.
Thank you.
Such a great ambassador for the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep it full throttle.
Yeah.
Next up, Didier Auriol. 4-time champion of champions, the most of anyone. And he's facing Mattias Ekström, who has 3 champion of champions titles. And he is going to be looking for his 4th to match Didier. Interesting battle, this one, coming up in the Porsches. On the right, in the white Porsche, is Didier Auriol with the French flag. Mattias Ekström on the left-hand side. Snow coming down. And away we go.
Power coming down on the rear wheels.
For Didier anyway.
Yeah.
Mattias really struggled to get off the line there. If they come to the first corner.
And for me, this is a fascinating matchup because, of course, Ekström, DTM done, off-road done, rallying done, rallycross done, Dakar done. He can do pretty much everything. Didier Auriol, an absolute rallying legend. So different skill sets, different eras, but both have always been successful at Race of Champions when they've entered.
Auriol became the World Rally Champion in 1994, the first French World Rally Champion, which kind of kick-started I suppose, the Loeb and Ogier dominance 15 years later or so. Under the bridge comes Auriol. Over the bridge comes Ekström, and it's going to be Ekström who's just ahead at the line. But he had the faster run over the bridge, so that'll switch back round the other way. This time through.
So 425 brake horsepower, and likely that they're getting up into 3rd gear. We just saw them come down the start, finish straight, and Didier Auriol should be able to get up into 3rd gear before he has to take the long left-hander.
A little slow through that second corner potentially. They're up now at the Husky Loop.
That transition from sea to beach.
Yeah, well, you can kind of see in the middle of the track, can't you? When if you look at the wide stuff, a little crunch on the ice from the front splitter there for Didier Auriol. Now Ekström is coming underneath the bridge. Auriol's about to come over the bridge. I think Mattias is going to get this, but this is where it starts to struggle and you start to lose a bit of grip. But the checker flag is waiting. Ekström getting on the power and taking it through to the quarterfinals. Mattias Ekström and Didier Auriol with a valiant effort.
Oh, in the snowbank.
And he's in the snowbank at the first corner. But it is Mattias Ekström who goes through 6 seconds the advantage in the end. Here's a look at the replay. Oh, so Didier Auriol, that's why it looked like he had quite a lot of traction, because he was going before the light went green.
So I wonder if that will technically be a jump start. I think it will, because the green light hadn't...
Yeah. I mean, he's out anyway.
Yeah.
What have I done?
But once you release the clutch on the manual gearbox and you've got all that power through the rear wheels, you're going to launch whatever happens. So Didier Auriol will not claim a 5th Champion of Champions title. Will his rival Mattias Ekström match his record by being 4-time champion again today?
Well, he's in the hunt. He'll be facing Johan Kristoffersson in the quarter-finals. And the quarter-finals are what will be coming up in a moment. Oliver Solberg against Sebastian Loeb, Kristoffersson against Ekström. And that is to go with the road racer quarter-finals, which is Herta versus Vettel and Johnson versus Tom Kristensen.
Wow.
So they'll do a bit of track work now for a few moments. You can see the diggers out on the circuit. So let's go back down to the car change. Molly Pettit.
Okay, so that was a pretty tough first race for you this morning, up against Loeb, but talk us through it.
No, I had a good start. I had a good rhythm. I did a mistake on the left up to the bridge, and I lost all the exit, plus the last corner I also missed. And I know that you can't have a miss like that if you drive against Loeb, and 4/10, yeah, well, it's nothing, but I was waiting for it should be 50-50 anyway, but I did my best and I enjoy, but he's a good friend, so it's good fun. But now he'll go with Oliver, so I try the next member in the family, so we will see.
It's like you say, it's all about fun, but what is it like to go up against a former fierce competitor of yours from WRC?
Well, in WRC and Rallycross, basically, but we had so many good fights, and but again, you know, it's a friendship that is very important when you do things, and that's been kept all the years we have been together, so we have respect for each other, so, but he's a professional, I'm retired, so he should have an advantage.
And your advice to Oliver now?
Honestly, I can't say anything to him. The only thing I told him is that he needs to be smart on the start, because there you can lose it or win it. So you never know. You never know.
Good luck.
I'm excited.
I'm retired, he's a professional.
I love it.
Lovely, fantastic line from Petter Solberg. And as he said, it was just the final corner where it went wrong for him, coming over when Loeb was coming over the bridge.
Brilliant chance to see how a retired professional can still work the steering wheel of a rallycross car. But he's got a lot of vested interest in, you know, people doing well or not as this competition progresses, because former teammate with Johan Kristoffersson, long-term rival and friend of Sebastian Loeb, and his son, Oliver Solberg. So he's got sort of quite a lot invested in this half of the draw.
Fantastic, just watching that, wasn't it? So, we're about to get going with the quarterfinals. You can see the beach line is basically the back of the arch there, and then all that to the right is the sea. So we are racing on the frozen Baltic Sea today. It's tremendous. Quarterfinal time at the Race of Champions in Pidehavsbad in Sweden. Colton Herta versus Sebastian Vettel will be first up. Then Jimmy Johnson against Tom Kristensen. The winner of those will face each other in the semi-finals, and then we'll be having Oliver Solberg against Sebastian Loeb and Johan Kristoffersson against Marcus Ekström. But first up, it's Vettel versus Herta. There is Vettel, looking for a place in the semi-finals, but to do so he's got to beat the 21-year-old Californian Colton Herta.
When I spoke to Sebastian on Thursday, this is his, like, to actually drive around this track, this is his favourite car. It's the one he enjoys the most, so if that will give him a slight advantage over the young American, we'll find out.
The power off the line as they swing into the first corners.
Those deep studs digging in, four-wheel drive traction, getting those things off the line. Sweet.
Sebastian Vettel on the outside lane, up through the sequential stick-shift gearbox, and he's chasing Colton Herta at the moment through the Baltic bends, and this is Herta here. out in front at the moment. The stars and stripes on the rear of the car. The German flag on the back of Vettel's.
Now, don't forget, we are not in knockout anymore. They do have 2 races against each other, so the winner of this will have another chance to seal the deal. The loser will have another chance to win a race. So, and if it's 1-1, it's decided on time. So this isn't knockout at this stage.
Yep, the race times become important now. Sebastian Vettel ahead, but Herta now will have perhaps the faster line coming over the bridge at the end of this run. On board with Vettel again. Having a very nice run at the moment, Vettel. He's quite a way ahead of Colton Herta as he comes into the husky loop.
Brilliant to hear him modulating the throttle there through that sequence. He's really got to grips with this car with only sort of 2.5 days of practice.
So this is the first heat. They will have another heat against each other, but who's going to come out on top? First of all, Vettel struggling a little to get the power on there, but it looks as though he's going to get it. Swings it out across the line. 1-0 Vettel. And the margin between them, 1.588 seconds.
Which could prove crucial. So in a few races' time, when they rematch and they switch lanes, crucially, and they'll be in the Polaris razors, Colton will know that he needs to win, and win by more than 1.5 seconds.
Correct.
Love the body language of that car around that corner. Look at the snow coming down.
It's just fantastic.
Thick snow.
Through the last sequence of corners where maybe Vettel lost a little bit of time, but he was happy with that. As well he might be.
And if you're unfamiliar to how Race of Champions works, you'll always see passengers in the car. They are family, other drivers, competition winners, VIPs, but they do their very best to evenly match the weight of the drivers. So there's sometimes an awkward moment in the driver car changing area to go, you're the wrong size to go in this car. But of course it's to help balance the car and to make it as fair as possible. Everything about this, equal machinery, equal track, making it as fair as possible to decide who is the greatest racing driver of all time, the champion of champions.
Le Mans versus NASCAR coming up now. Tom Kristensen on the left, Jimmy Johnson on the right, in the Polaris. And this is the quarterfinal, the first heat of their quarterfinal. Johnson in the orange. Kristensen in the blue. Through turns 1 and 2. And out through the Baltic Bends. It is an advantage at the moment to Jimmy Johnson, but he had that tighter inside line first of all. Here we are with the American.
Now, Jim, neither of these, despite their number of appearances, have been champion of champions. Jimmy Johnson was Rock Nations Cup winner, I think, back in 2002 in Gran Canaria.
It's Kristensen who's got the advantage halfway through. Johnson right out towards the wall. The gap between them 2 seconds. But again, this is the first heat of 2. There, quite a way out in front at the moment is Kristensen. Johnson coming into the outside lane, but he's then just going to be able to get on the power and go flat out over the bridge. Kristensen is looking pretty good for this, though, at the moment. Underneath the bridge. Gets on the power. Jimmy Johnson's arriving, but Tom Kristensen is going to take this one.
Mr. Le Mans becomes Mr. Snow and Ice. Love it. He's just about got it stopped just about at the end of the start-finish straight. But Jimmy Johnson has one more chance to progress.
Yep, they will face off again in the second run. And the second heat. Pretty even through the first couple of corners. Jimmy Johnson having a real experience. This is his first trip away since the start of the global pandemic, Jimmy Johnson.
Wow.
He's been, in the States since basically the end of 2019. This is his first trip over the pond for a few years. And what an experience this is. I think for everyone here, what an experience this is. Easily one of the top 5 jobs I've ever done. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Maybe even top 3. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. Next up, we move on to our off-roaders in the first of their quarterfinals, quarterfinal number 3. And this is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Oliver Solberg against Sebastian Loeb. There is Loeb. Already beaten one Solberg today. Can he dispatch the other in the quarterfinal?
And in the Porsches.
Again, this will be 2 heats. This is the first heat. Wait for the light to go green. And then watch them try and find traction.
The low rumble, the Boxer engine. Rear-wheel drive.
That's pretty even. They both did a very good job there.
See, the key here is you've got to be gentle and precise with this car. It's not like the Rallycross car or the Polaris. You've got to point it in the right direction before you hit the gas. Otherwise, you're in the snowbank. But certainly, Sebastian Loeb has experience across all different types of vehicle, whether it's the Dakar, touring cars, or a rally car, or a Rallycross car.
GT3, raced GT3 for a couple of seasons in the FIA GT series. Taking a first championship win at Navarra.
Raced at Le Mans.
Yeah, Le Mans.
But Oliver Solberg at the very beginning of what will no doubt be a hugely successful rallying career.
Here comes Solberg underneath the bridge. Loeb coming over it, and it's going to be Loeb ahead at the halfway point. In the Porsche, down towards the first corner. Solberg chasing him now. The gap between them, almost 5 seconds, 4.589, but Solberg will be hoping he can chip away at some of that in the second half of the run.
I think this is the best, in my opinion, we've seen this Porsche being driven around by Sebastian Loeb.
Looks superb, doesn't it?
Right. It's always anxious for Pernilla when she watches Oliver drive.
It's dropping a long way back, actually, here. I don't know if he's had a moment or not, but he's falling quite a way back from Loeb. He'll get a bit more of an advantage coming over the bridge, but Loeb is a long way clear at the moment as he comes underneath.
Yeah, let's look at the front of Ollie's car to see if there's any snow in the grille, because that's a big deficit.
Here comes Loeb on the power now, out across the line. Slides the back end out beautifully. The gap does come down a little, but it is 1-0 to Loeb. And the race time is 3.239 seconds. So that was Solberg's disadvantage that he's got to overcome in the second race.
That's
he
a
wants
big
to
ask.
advance through, yeah.
It's a big ask. I think they're going to be in the Rallycross cars next, though. So if anything,
yeah,
it does give Ollie a chance. Beautiful car control, though.
It's wonderful watching Loeb in these. Superb stuff.
He's even got the wherewithal to have the windscreen wipers on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough to distinguish between the handbrake and the gear stick for me, and then suddenly he's found the windscreen wipers. That's why he's a legend.
Yeah. Unbelievable win in the Monte Carlo rally of just a couple of weeks ago. 1 week ago? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago.
And then before that, an incredible performance on the Dakar again. Multidiscipline genius.
Matthias Ekström next up for Sweden. And he's going to be facing his countryman, Matthias Ekström. It's Johan Kristoffersson.
2 other multidiscipline geniuses as well. Both incredibly precise, smart, intelligent drivers, Matthias and Johan. Fully focused.
Looking for a place in the semi-final. Again, this is the first heat of the quarters. So the expectation will ramp up a little in the second of the heats, which we'll be getting onto next after this run. Away we go. In the black, on the outside, Mattias Ekström. On the blue, on the inside, Johan Kristoffersson. Whoa, big sideways on a bit of bank taken by Ekström. This is great. They were leaning on that so much.
But that's the way to do it, because these snowbanks have got softer. It's just like Rally Sweden. You can use them. Absolutely use them to guide you back on the track. Brush them, shave speed off.
Rally Sweden, of course, in a couple of weeks' time. I think even further north than this, Elio Castroneves on the edge of his seat. But great to see Elio here and really enjoying his time in Sweden. Here they come then, out across the line. And it's going to be Ekström that's ahead at the halfway mark.
These two are so evenly matched. And they'll have been studying the lap times of everybody in all of the cars.
It just looks so precise, neat, tidy, yet sideways. That's Kristoffersson, who we're on board with now. And remember, the second heat, they'll switch lanes. Big sideways all the way around the Husky loop. Ekström now under the bridge, right up to the bank. Unbelievable how close he was. Just kissing it all the way around. This is going to be a close one, you know. Almost a bit of a tank slapper for Kristoffersson as he comes over the hill. Big sideways for Ekström. Wow! It's Kristoffersson! And Kristoffersson's been to the bank at the first corner. He's won by 100th.
Amazing.
100th of a second for Johan Kristoffersson.
He used the snowbank just to stop the car at the end of the start-finish straight. Why not? Why not?
Magnificent stuff.
That was a great battle. That's exactly what Race of Champions is all about.
It just felt like Ekström couldn't get on the power out of that final turn. He says, am I first or second? Me, first? Happy days. That was tremendous. So Ekström in the black, Kristoffersson in the blue, and they were both just inch perfect the whole way around. Absolutely loved that one. Look, that's how close. He's almost bouncing along the inside. And then here, Ekström in the black, you just feel like he just can't quite get it straightened up. He's right up to the wall on the exit, maybe even brushes the wall on the exit. And that is 100th of a second.
And with the electric power, you've got to feel that...
He did brush the wall.
So once Ekström comes around that corner, he can see that Johan's approaching, so he's not quite sure if he should put the throttle down because he could spin it.
Oof. Good stuff. More to come. The deciding quarterfinals coming up next here in Pity Havsbad. The fans are loving life. As well they might be. Even though, well, as well they might be. It's like -10 and the snow's coming in. But here's a bit of fun. Stig Blomqvist in the right-hand side. You'll be able to see that car in a minute, but those headlights are almost some of the most iconic parts of that Audi Quattro.
Yeah, the S1 Quattro, iconic, fever-giving machine. Stig Blomqvist driving it. A car that he was so successful in. And then the future equivalent is the electric nitro rallycross car, the FC1X.
Stig Blomqvist still a regular competitor in the Goodwood Revival and actually I think in the Porsche Scandinavian Cup last year. Over the line they come at the halfway mark. We haven't got timing on these, but obviously they're pushing.
But how brilliant is this to see the history and hear the history of that car. Love that car so much, and the sound. There we go.
Stig!
The iconic sound of the Audi S1 Quattro, and then the new sound of the 1,000 horsepower powertrain of the Nitro Rallycross car. Beautiful. What a moment.
Whoop. The bank a little. All good.
That's how you do it.
Under the bridge, who's going to come out on top here? going to be close.
It is.
I think the Quattro is going to get this, you know. Stig Blomqvist out across the line, he got air! Blomqvist jumps over the line and takes the win.
Flames coming out of the back, turbo popping and banging.
Elio loves it.
What a treat, absolute treat.
That sound when he goes down and on the power, it shakes the commentary box, the vibrations of it all. Fantastic.
Look how planted it still is.
Yeah.
Quattro, all-wheel drive power.
Tremendous stuff. Still going. This time it's the Nitro RX car that comes across the line ahead.
Just
We're going for another lap.
Noise. Love that sound.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk over it.
We'll be getting underway with the second heats in the quarterfinals fairly shortly here in Pittihavsbad in Sweden at the 2022 Race of Champions Snow and Ice. We've been treated to a lovely demonstration of some old and new cars. Let's get down to Molly.
Helio, look at you. It's like you're home on the couch.
I'm having such a great time right now. It's snowing outside. Great racing right now. It's just having a good time right now. I'm actually going to ask Exo and Benito to do a little massage here, you know, so just make sure that, just to help me out here. But I'm telling you, great job. Keep it going, everyone. This is a great show.
Helio, tell us about your racing earlier on today. What was it like?
You know, I tell you one thing. I was the first one to get out. So it was interesting. Definitely snow and Castroneves, they don't blend very well. But I tell you what, it's been an amazing experience, and everyone is doing an amazing job. So it's great to be watching here. I do feel like I'm home right now. Oof. Soon I'm going to be like snoring and sleeping. So please apologize in advance just in case if that happens.
Helio, you were supposed to go in the ice bath.
Huh?
You were supposed to go in the ice bath.
Actually, the bet was if I win, I would go to the ice.
That's why you lost.
Exactly, exactly.
Helio, who's your money on for the win today?
Oh, I tell you, man, Jimmy's doing a phenomenal job. I'm actually super surprised. But Loeb, whoo, he looks strong too. I don't know. It's been interesting. You think Vettel too? So we have a couple of contenders here that is going to be very strong. So watch out.
Thank you very much, Helio.
Thank you.
So what I love about that is Race of Champions is obviously aspirational. These are all legends. But for all of you at home, in exactly that position, spread out on the sofa, watching this event, you are like Helio Castroneves at this moment.
This is the Polaris Pro XP, 181 horsepower, just 814 kilos. Incredibly agile machine, and that is the car for Herta versus Vettel that will be getting underway in a few moments' time. I think Helio, we've got to try and keep him awake, haven't we? I think the on-track action will keep him awake.
But I love this. This is brand new for Race of Champions, but it's also a brand new side-by-side. It's kind of launched in the last few months, and it's proving a great fun piece of kit.
Absolutely.
For the snow and ice.
The other thing is, first out, first in the bar. So that's why David Coulthard wasn't particularly disappointed when Chadwick was knocked out yesterday, when their Team Great Britain lost out. Right, so this is the second heat of the quarterfinals. Vettel is 1-0 up against this man, Herta. The gap, 1.588 seconds. So if Vettel wins, he advances through to the semi-final. If Herta wins, he needs to win by more than 1.588 seconds to advance through. Herta, that is his deficit to Sebastian Vettel, the second quarter-final heat. It's doable for Herta.
It's doable because Sebastian Vettel could clip a bank, make a mistake, spin the razor, but the pressure is all on Coulthard at this point.
There's the green light. Good reaction time from Vettel. The snow coming down more and more.
Bit of oversteer for Vettel on the inside there.
We're on board with the Aston Martin Formula One driver up into the Husky loop. Oh, just maybe a little wide towards the exit of the corner. Herta is kicking up the snow as well. He fully banked it yesterday at the hairpin. He's kept it all together today.
The pitch on that.
Herta's going to be ahead, I think, at the line, halfway around. Is the gap going to be more than 1.6 seconds? It might be, you know. It's 2. So if Herta holds this advantage, he will go through to the semi-finals. But Vettel is going to have the quicker run over the bridge this time.
Now, when we go on board with Sebastian Vettel again, you'll notice there's tape on the steering wheel. All of these machines have to be the same setup. He's not allowed to change any of the settings. So that's why they've taped up all the buttons, because to stop anyone from actually adjusting the car to their advantage.
Right, we're getting into crunch time now. Herta coming under the bridge. He's got to win by 1.6 seconds or more if he wants to get through into the semi-final. He's almost in the bank, coming under the bridge. It's going to be close. I think Herta might have this one. Vettel comes over. Herta's going to win it, but what's the gap going to be? Herta across the line, and I think it's 1.2. I don't think that's enough.
It's not enough.
Sebastian Vettel goes through by 0.3 of a second into the semi-finals.
But a great fight back from Colton Herta. Wow. No pressure. You just got to try and beat Sebastian Vettel by an almost impossible margin, and he almost did it. Brilliant.
So close at the end there. But it is Vettel who goes through to the semi-final. Great stuff.
So the one-time champion of champions could be a two-time champion of champions, Sebastian Vettel. Been so successful for Team Germany in the Rock Nations Cup. But you know what it would mean to him to get another big trophy for his already bulging trophy cabinet.
Absolutely. Beat Jarno Opmeer, lost to Lucas Blakely yesterday, and then Team Germany were knocked out by Team USA in the quarterfinals. So Vettel now into the semis. Very strong performance.
And a little bit of payback for that yesterday against Team USA. But chapeau and kudos to Colton Herta. He's adapted so brilliantly to conditions he's never experienced before, even in life, I think, let alone actually having to drive cars competitively. So kudos to him.
Snow's getting heavier. The racing's getting better.
And the music's improved from Foo Fighters to Metallica.
I'm a bit more of a Foo Fighters man, personally.
Bon appetit.
What's that in Swedish?
God smacked, I think.
No.
Yeah, I think. Feel free to correct me using the hashtag correct me or hashtag Rock Sweden. But I think it's something like that.
Okay. I was trying to throw you under the bus.
Thanks.
And there you are with the answer. Everybody loving hashtag Haleo vibes.
Yeah.
Says
send us your
Jago.
pictures of you on the sofa.
Yeah. Let's all hashtag Rock Sweden. We want your recreation of Haleo's chill.
As we hit the Baltic chill for the next of our quarterfinals.
Jimmy Johnson versus Tom Kristensen. Johnson on the left, Kristensen on the right. The deficit, 1.464 seconds. So Jimmy Johnson needs to beat Kristensen by 1.5 seconds if he wants to get into the semi-finals. Wait for the green light.
Launch control engaged, full revs, four-wheel drive, planted into the ground, studs digging in, snow flying everywhere. Kristensen gets into turn 1 first.
Kristensen will pull away a little here because he had the shorter inside run through 1 and 2. This is Jimmy Johnson. Stenmark watching on after his run in the Celebrity Challenge earlier on today, the Swedish skiing legend. But at the moment, it is good advantage for Kristensen as he comes underneath the bridge. Swings it through the left. Here comes Jimmy Johnson over the bridge for Team USA. Johnson is going to have the advantage at the halfway mark, but it's actually by a reasonable amount, 2.2 seconds. Again, we saw that time slip away for Coulthard Herta, but not a huge amount, so Jimmy Johnson is definitely in this.
Are we going to have a Race of Champions upset?
It would be quite something if Jimmy Johnson was able to beat Tom Kristensen here. He's got quite a big advantage now. This is where he'll start to slow down as he comes underneath the bridge, and Kristensen there comes over it.
He's not holding back, is he, Jimmy? He's giving it full beams, and I love it. Has he done this?
It's going to be tight. He gets on the power now, Jimmy Johnson. The back end slides out. He's losing time. Is it going to be enough? It's so close. And I think he's done it. Kristensen, well, no, he finishes 8/10 behind. So it's not enough. Kristensen goes through by 6/10 of a second. Just couldn't get the traction coming out. It's just that those differences to the line changed so much, don't they? But it is Kristensen who goes through to the semi-finals.
He's been a perennial finalist, Tom Kristensen, at Race of Champions, but never taken the big trophy. Is this the year when it comes this close to home, on conditions that he must drive on when he's at home for 4 months of the year? Well done, Tom.
When we asked for our Elio Castroneves chill vibes, Jonathan said, not possible, guys. Nobody does chill like Elio.
Absolutely.
I think it's fair. So Jimmy Johnson gave it a real go in the supercar lights. And here he came out of the final corner, back and stepped out, and again right to the wall. And he took the win, but not by enough, because look how much speed he had.
I think he could be an adopted Swede now, the Jonsson. He's adapted so well to these conditions.
Jimmy Jonsson.
Jimmy Jonsson.
Okay, yeah. I wish we thought of that gag before he was knocked out. We don't have time to use it now. Right. So Vettel versus Kristensen will be the first of the semi-finals, and that will be a best-of-3 format, so the times won't matter again.
That's a repeat of the 2015 Olympic Stadium final.
Who will be facing them in the final? It'll either be Sebastian Loeb, in the semi-final, it'll be Loeb or Solberg. Now, Loeb is 1-0 up in this one and has a 3.2 second advantage over Oliver Solberg. So, the young Swede has his work cut out. He's on the left-hand side, Oliver Solberg. Loeb on the right in the orange.
And you can see there off the start line that there's rails developing where the studded tyres have been digging into the snow and ice. So you're kind of on rails with good traction all the way down to turn 1.
Here is Oliver.
Pulls on the bar, gets the car sideways.
Into the Husky loop. Kristensen and Johnson there after their quarter-final. Loeb under the bridge.
Beautiful shot. Just fully opening up that front suspension.
Now he's going to have an advantage here as they come to the halfway point. Oh, Loeb right to the wall. Solberg's advantage, 1.2 seconds. But it needs to be 3.2. He's got to have the megaest of mega second halves of this lap. Here he is.
A little indecisive there whether to change gear or go for the handbrake.
He's building up quite an advantage now. Whoa, is he round? Is he round? No, he's still going. Takes out a bit of bank on the inside. That was wonderful run this.
Full commitment from Ollie.
Now under the bridge. This is where Loeb will start to creep back in. And Loeb has done a brilliant job here. It's not going to be enough for Oliver Solberg. Out to the line, he might not even win the heat. Right to time. It's identical. It's identical.
We're going down to thousandths of a second on our decimal screen, and it's the same time.
Dead heat, but it is Loeb who goes through after winning the first heat.
I have goosebumps. That was absolutely spectacular. Don't think I've ever seen that before.
3.2 seconds, the advantage in the end. Superb stuff.
Wow, that really...
Just fantastic.
Yeah, that's given me chills. So Sebastian Loeb will progress to the semi-finals, but who will he face? Kristoffersson or Ekström? Sebastian Loeb well on track to equal his countryman's record of 4 Champion of Champions trophies.
I thought Solberg was gone here.
Yeah.
I thought he was fully round, but he managed to get it straight and then have a little munch of the snow on the inside.
You say straight, never actually straight, but you're absolutely right, he saved it. But I think he was pushing so hard that that was planned, that he was using the outside snowbank, because he will have learned that you can do that. And that's what 0.000 seconds looks like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coulthard, Kristensen and Papa watching that.
So yes, neither of the Rock Nations Cup winners will be progressing any further.
No.
Yesterday's champions can take the rest of the day off.
Now, we thought that the first heat in this quarter-final was close. Kristoffersson and Ekström separated by just 100th.
The first lap was I had the wrong gear. Well, it's still not so bad to be equally low on that time. It's the first time. I mean, not good.
Not happy with his first lap, Oliver Solberg. Coulthard with his trademark advice. Maybe that was his advice to Häkkinen.
Yeah.
Right, these two, 100th between them. Kristoffersson has the advantage over Mattias Ekström, but by 100th of a second. So basically, unless it's another dead heat, which, come on, I don't think it will be, this will probably be winner takes all, fundamentally.
And it's going to be fun to watch because they're in the Polaris Razor Pro XP.
So Mattias Ekström 100th down on Johan Kristoffersson from the first run.
This is the last of our quarter-final heats.
Yeah, it's going so quickly.
No, flies by.
There is Kristoffersson.
Full concentration in the tiny side-by-side cockpit. Green light, away they go.
Now, obviously, good luck telling these two apart. 2 Swedish flags, 2 black Polaris. I was kind of talking to myself there. But here they come now up through the Baltic bends, and they're chasing on the outside at the moment. I'm not sure they've got the names on the side either, so that's real great as they come up now through the long left-hander. Wow, we'll get the split at the line at least. I think that's Mattias Ekström there in number 9 as he now comes over the bridge. A little bit loose. It's going to be very tight at the halfway mark. But it is Kristoffersson. Okay, so it's Kristoffersson in number 9. It is Ekström in number 10. And it is Kristoffersson who's ahead at the moment. So Kristoffersson will be on the inside run for the remainder of this lap. And he's ahead at the moment. That is Mattias Ekström chasing him.
2 World Rallycross champions going head-to-head.
This is a winner-takes-all because they were just 100th apart after the first heat. Kristoffersson is looking in a good position, but Ekström is coming back now, and he'll have a bit more speed coming over the bridge. Kristoffersson underneath the bridge. Gets on the power, we're in for another close one. Ekström's looking good.
I think Ekström's got this.
Right together towards the line, but it is going to be the checkered flag for Mattias Ekström. He lost the first heat. He wins the second by half a second. And that is enough to send him through to the semi-final to face Sebastian Loeb.
And two people who've been very successful at Race of Champions historically, Matthias and Sebastian. And there's not many people in the world who can say they've beaten Johan Kristoffersson fair and square on track.
Yeah.
So, chapeau to Matthias. The 2016 World Rallycross champion.
Ooh.
Teaching a thing or two to the current and four-time World Rallycross champion.
That was a big bank hit, wasn't it, for Kristoffersson as he came over the bridge.
But the beauty of these side-by-sides is it's open wheel. You're not in any way risking damaging bodywork.
No, of course.
It's tyre wall, and this car will just bounce off. It's beautiful.
So evenly matched, those two.
Both Swedish. Both champions. But only one goes through, and it's Matthias Ekström.
So, the diggers go out to prepare for our semi-finals, which will be Sebastian Vettel versus Tom Kristensen and Sebastian Loeb versus Matthias Ekström to become the champion of champions here in Sweden. Now, the semi-finals will be best of 3. So the times now won't matter anymore. It'll just be a case of best of 3. First driver to win 2 wins. And if you do win 2, then we don't run the third race. Vettel versus Kristensen. Loeb versus Ekström. Well, we saw some fantastic racing with Oliver Solberg and Sebastian Loeb in the quarterfinals. Let's go down and join Molly.
Oliver, that was quite incredible. A dead heat in that second race against Loeb.
Very exciting. It was very exciting. I did a terrible job in the Porsche. I didn't think the grip was that high. It was the first time I tried the car on that track, actually. So, yeah, very difficult. But again, in the lights, it was a good one. We had a big fight, and to be dead equal, I mean, how is that possible? So, amazing first time on the Race of Champions to do this, and yeah, to win yesterday and then to do a good job today. It was a great weekend.
And I'm sure you've looked up to Sebastian Loeb for very many years.
Just a little bit.
What's it like to be racing against him out here?
It's amazing. He's so cool, you know, and just calm, and he knows he's the best. So it's just really cool. And yeah, he's just very helpful and nice, and it's super friendly.
What was his comment to you after the race?
I don't know. You know, typical French.
That was a great impression.
Yeah.
Have you got any other impressions?
There are no other impressions in French.
But sum it up. Sum up your Race of Champions experience.
It's been mind-blowing, to be honest. It was yesterday, by winning it with my dad, it's first of all just crazy. And then today I knew it was going to be tough. I had a very good run in the buggy this morning, and then, as I said, a terrible run in the Porsche. So I know where I have to improve for next year. And it's just been an honor to be here, meet all these great drivers and drivers I look up to. So it's been a fantastic weekend.
Thank you very much, Oliver.
Thank you.
Brilliant to see him. You can see, though, he is disappointed. To be beaten by Sebastian Loeb, there's no shame in that. Some donuts happening there on the Baltic Sea. It's got to be Terry Grant digging a hole in the ice to go fishing in later.
Yeah, absolutely. He said that when he does the donuts, sometimes the sort of front right, as we're looking at, just digs down and takes a good chunk out of the ice. Some fantastic action out there from Terry Grant.
I'm super excited about these semi-finals.
Yeah. It's going to be very entertaining.
Such a big part of this. Terry Grant does a lot of work to help the drivers and to design the track.
Terry Grant has just been doing some donuts in the Porsche as the track is prepared for the semi-finals here at the Race of Champions Snow and Ice 2022. Neil Cole alongside myself, Jack Nichols, as we get ready for the final 3 matches to decide the champion. Matthias Ekström on the right-hand side, still very much in the competition. Johan Kristoffersson very much out of the competition. But let's catch up with Matthias, shall we, as he goes through to the semi-finals.
Matthias, very, very close battles today between you and your former very tough competitor in the World Rallycross Championship, Johan Kristoffersson. Tell us about what it's been like.
Yeah, I mean, the battle in the rallycross car, I was expecting a close battle because I know Johan is not famous for making mistakes, and I also normally don't do many, so there was 100th difference. I think it's quite impressive. Then we all knew the guy who is max attack and not dropping the ball, making any small mistake will win, and I think Johan had a little one before the bridge on his first lap. So when I came on that place and I saw the snow, I knew, yeah, I think I might have this. And then over the jump, I saw like, oh, a tiny bit. So no, it's always great to race against Johan. He's such a talented driver, and it's always an honor to race with good guys. So.
And in the semi-final with Sebastian Loeb, who you have beaten before in the rallycross track, can you beat him again?
I think we can beat anyone if circumstances are right, but I have to say the Porsche here is a real challenge, and then it's the Rallycross light car, so he knows both of them cars really good. He drove them in the previous run, and I had the RX2 and the Polaris, so I think he has slight advantage in terms of the car we drive. He drove already, so I will have to be in my A game and no mistakes now, that's for sure.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, great to hear from Matthias Ekström. Also entertaining to watch Terry Grant try and make himself physically sick. Spinning that Polaris around with donuts.
You get full marks from the Winter Olympics committee for that.
Yes, figure skating, yeah. There is a word, isn't there, where you just kind of spin around on a...
I don't know.
This is why we're here, not at the Winter Olympics. I did the Winter Olympics once. I was awful. Never got asked back.
Which discipline did you compete in? Figure skating.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm very excited.
You don't need to be criticising my figure. That's a bit hard.
So Tom Kristensen's getting his helmet on. Now he has been in several finals. He's been in a final with Vettel. He's been in a final with Ogier, Grosjean, Montoya, but never won the final. Whereas we've seen Loeb versus Ekström in 2006 and Loeb versus Tom Kristensen in 2005. So everyone who's left in has either been in the final or won it.
And this is why there are rookies every year and there are different drivers, but sort of the cream always rises, doesn't it? And that's not to discredit any of the drivers who are out of the competition, but it's remarkable how consistently these drivers make it into the latter stages. Tom Kristensen, the 9-time Le Mans winner, getting settled into the electric rallycross car before heading out onto the track to face Sebastian Vettel. Straps, belts going in.
No. Please.
There is Vettel.
Final checks complete. Doors to manual.
Cross check. 4-time Formula 1 world champion Sebastian Vettel from 2010 to 2013 for the Red Bull squad. And now he makes his way through the blizzard towards the start line.
The conditions have just got more and more Baltic.
Yeah.
We can no longer see the horizon. It is just a blizzard out here, so all of that is settling on the track.
That's true. You can't see the horizon at all. I can barely see the far end of the course.
Yeah. That's probably why Tom's put his glasses on, even though they are steaming up. Obviously, you won't hear any revs as he starts because it's an electric rallycross car, the RX2E.
So, a reminder, this is a best-of-3 format, so the time is irrelevant. And this is the car they're going to be going out in. A lot of the drivers' favourites.
Yeah, I mean, it's fundamentally, a lot of it's exactly the same as the RX Supercar Light, except the powertrain is electric, so you've got the battery in there. Still got a hydraulic handbrake. You've still got to throw it around. Deep studs to keep it stuck to the ice. But it's all about learning how to judge the throttle.
I don't know this artist. No, nothing? Kristensen getting ready. Ekström getting ready for his semi-final against Sebastian Loeb. The cars are now making their way towards the start line. This is where we're at. Vettel beat Herta, Kristensen beat Johnson. And they're now fighting for a place in the final. Loeb beat Solberg, both of them. Ekström beat Kristoffersson. And they are fighting it out for a place in the final. So, best of 3, first of 2 wins, so it might not necessarily have a third heat. Kristensen pulls up in position.
Feels like Vettel was on the line for a while there, but luckily it's not going to overheat the engine or anything because it's a electric rallycross car. But
I also don't think anything could overheat in these conditions.
You'd be surprised.
Well, actually, but I will tell you, the heater underneath my desk here, it was off yesterday, so I cranked it up today. It's really warm. My shins are on fire. Semi-final, Heat 1. Tom Kristensen against Sebastian Vettel. The Dane versus the German. Best of 3. Away we go, down towards the first corner. Vettel on the inside in the grey. On the outside is Kristensen.
A little bit twitchy in the midpoint of that double apex long outside right left-hander for Tom Kristensen. He had to adjust mid-corner, which is never ideal. You'll notice with the more rallycross and rally style off-roaders, they can kind of do that in one smooth transition.
This is also to determine who is the best. Oh, is that slowing? Is that slowing Kristensen? On the exit of it is.
Yes.
Kristensen's slowing down.
Disaster.
Tom Kristensen's going to lose this heat.
And the red light is on.
Vettel across the line.
He won't know until he passes Tom that he doesn't have to push anymore because the times are irrelevant. But yeah, the electric rallycross car appears to have died.
So frustrating for Tom Kristensen. Here comes Vettel. So you can see the green and the white lights on the front windscreen of Sebastian Vettel's car. And he's going to see Kristensen here now. He's going to carry on. So he's going to win the heat.
Yes, that's the first he'll know that he's got this heat in the bag.
Yeah. Across the line comes Vettel. Checkered flag falls. 1-0.
But it is the best of 3, so whatever happens now, Tom Kristensen has to get that car back to the car changing area and get ready for the second heat of best of 3 in this semi-final.
So here's a look at the start. Kristensen getting a slightly better getaway than Vettel, certainly in terms of initial reaction, but there you can see the red light flashing on the front for Kristensen's car, and he grinds to a halt. That is so frustrating.
Still got one more chance, though.
Absolutely.
In fact, 2 more chances.
Because indeed, if he wins the next heat, he's still in the competition. Apparently that song before says Dominic was Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh, I should have known that. My dad would not be happy with me for not knowing that. Yeah. Well, the green light's back on, which means it's safe for them to move that car.
Yeah, so that is a positive.
Still not going anywhere, though.
No. Well, we will be moving on to the next semi-final soon.
But you could see how frustrating that was. You know, all of the bonhomie, Helio being chill, but they really want to win.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a bit of fun until you can win. Molly.
Are you doing the ice bath again tonight?
Not sure.
You just had a question if you're doing the ice bath. You didn't enjoy it the first time? Or?
Well, I did, and I came back last night. Did 2 trips through, so I feel like I'm a regular now.
Oh,
yeah.
It's something you have to continue doing. Perhaps not where you live, or
no, I would take a lot of effort to pull it off, but it's quite exhilarating. I had no idea it was that exhilarating.
You were knocked out in the quarterfinal today, unfortunately. But how was it up until that point?
It was good. I've really been the slowest in the Polaris, so I wasn't surprised to be beat there, although I thought I had a good lap. And then in the rally car, had a decent lap, was able to win, but too much of a time deficit to transfer. So part of the race here. I'm excited to be here and root on everybody for the finals.
Yeah, what do you think of the excitement that's building now before we get to the finals of this race today? It's a good atmosphere, isn't it?
It's a great atmosphere, and what does it for me is every time I drive by the grandstands in the race car and just see how excited the fans are, the clapping, the thumbs up. A big thank you to everyone for coming out here and supporting us.
And who's your money on?
I guess probably Ekström at this point, I would think.
Why is that?
He's won a lot of these, and he actually was nice enough to get me in a car on Wednesday when I arrived. So I'm rooting for him for multiple reasons.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Jimmy.
You.
Jimmy Johnson there. Having a lovely time. Now, I think they have cleared Tom Kristensen's car, and as a result, Sebastian Loeb is making his way towards the line. 3 times the champion of champions here at the Race of Champions. 3 times as well for Mattias Ekström. So, one of these two can match Didier Auriol with 4 wins. Which will it be? They're competing in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport.
And interesting because Mattias himself was saying that this is the trickiest car because it's built for tracks, it's built for asphalt. They've done everything they can to get it set up with the studded tyres and everything to make it as fast and as exciting as possible here on snow and ice. But it is a handful. Rear-wheel drive, 425 brake horsepower, 6-cylinder mid-mounted boxer engine. I mean, it's a light track car.
Loeb has driven it in that heat against Oliver Solberg in the quarter-final. Wait for the green light. Here we go.
So gingerly off the line.
Desperate to get some traction down. Loeb is on the right in the blue Porsche. Ekström in the silver Porsche with the Swedish flag. Best of 3. First heat this. Loeb looking good. Ekström staying with it.
That slalom section out there, the coastal side of the track. It's easy to get it wrong, but nicely threaded there by Mattias Ekström.
Just here Loeb trying to pick up the power. He's now coming under the bridge. Gets on the brakes. Into the right-hander.
It's so important to change your driving style for this car. All the other vehicles are sideways is good. This one opposite a clock.
That was a bit slow for Loeb on the exit of the bridge. Ekström has the advantage. Huge slide for Loeb.
Fishtailing there. He's managed to save it though.
He's got his work cut out in the second half of this lap now.
This is a replay of the 2006 final, which Ekström won.
First of 3 heats. Best of 3 heats. The time doesn't matter.
Try telling that to one of these two.
Well,
the time doesn't matter.
But fundamentally, that big mistake for Loeb, if it does cost him time, it won't be too bad. That's not great from Ekström coming through the Husky loop. Here he comes now, under the bridge. This left-hander Loeb found it really tricky to get the car in. Oh, it's similar. It's just understeering for Ekström. And here comes Loeb still. Loeb might get it. Out of nowhere, Sebastian Loeb takes the win.
Wow, he must have had a second half of that race like to perfection. Wow.
1-0 to Loeb. Looked as though it was a bit all over. But he's come back. Elio's still awake. Wow. Because it was a bit scrappy from Loeb, wasn't it? Fishtailing down the start straight. Here, look at him. In the blue on the left. Oh. that might be save of the rock.
Yeah. Massive save.
Oh, in a rear-wheel drive car to save that.
On snow and ice with that much power.
That is top quality.
That's why he's 9-time World Rally Champion. Wow. The reflexes to know exactly what to do in that situation. In a millisecond it takes to not spin it. Wow, okay. This is Motorhead.
Yes,
obviously.
I'm aware of this one. The 4 of clubs.
Is this your card?
There's Sebastian Vettel making his way to the line for the second semi-final between he and Mr. Le Mans, Tom Kristensen. Let's have a look at the big screen. There is Ekström and Loeb.
Yes? It's quite tight.
Yeah, but 1.2 is quite a lot for me to you.
Yeah, but I did always well with the Porsche, so now we will have some other one. I don't know which one, but...
I don't know. I think we have a rallycross. I don't know which one.
Okay.
But one more try.
Lovely banter. And I can answer that question. They're in the RX Supercar Light, so they've got the internal combustion engine.
So, next up, we're going to have Kristensen versus Vettel. But first, we'll go down to the car change area. Molly.
Emma looking super chilled in the driver's lounge. How are you enjoying the racing?
I'm really enjoying it. And the lights are out. It's good. You know, awesome racing. Yeah, it's so fun to watch. Really enjoyable. I enjoyed it today too, like taking the challenge, coming here in a very, very short notice, no practice at all, never driven any rally cars or anything like that. So it's like, it has been a wonderful experience, to be honest. I had super fun.
And up against Vettel in that race today.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's there already. Like, he's done so good job. I'm proud of him. And it was good to face him already then. And it doesn't matter to, lose to him. He's done an amazing job. So.
And now that we're getting to the sort of the business end of today, who's your money on?
Exactly. Well, Loeb or Ekström, it looks really tight, and it's going to be so interesting. I think, the victor is going to go for a rally driver.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Emma Kimiläinen there, who faced Sebastian Vettel in the round of 16, knocked out by the German. So
interesting to get her perspective that the circuit races, she feels are at a disadvantage, and she should know.
Sebastian Vettel 1-0 up against Tom Kristensen. If Vettel wins this heat, he goes through to the final. If Kristensen wins, we have a decider. There's no time maths for me to get caught out by. Away we go, down into the first corner. Vettel on the left, Kristensen on the right.
Kristensen was hustling that off the line. I love it. Already the suspension is bouncing in a straight line. Absolutely spectacular.
On board with Vettel. Through the Baltic bends, the right, then the left, then the right again.
It's a great angle to see just how hard he's working at the wheel and how much the Polaris Razor dips.
Kristensen ahead at the moment, but he had the inside run. Now he's going to come underneath the bridge, and that'll give Vettel the opportunity to get ahead. And I think Vettel is going to be ahead at the halfway mark. Fires it across the line with quite a big advantage here, Sebastian Vettel.
And he'll know that as well, having come across the line and being able to see how far back Tom is. Having driven past him on the previous race with Tom's mechanical failure.
3.3 seconds ahead at the line, Vettel. But Kristensen will be on the, in theory, quicker side of the course now, especially at the final few corners in the bridge section. But Vettel's advantage is pretty big.
That's the Oliver Solberg line round there.
Keeps it out of the bank. Kristensen now will get on the power. This is his chance to close back in on Vettel. Vettel under the bridge. Surely this is going to be it. And another final appearance for Sebastian Vettel. The checkered flag is out. Vettel is in the final. A 2-0 win against Tom Kristensen. Beats him by 2 seconds. Sebastian Vettel, the best track racer out there. Kristensen losing out in the semis.
Shame for Tom, but I think Vettel proved the quicker on the day.
Superb performance from Vettel.
I love the way the passengers are. They're either holding on for dear life or pretending that they're driving.
Vettel on the outside, perpendicular to the snow.
He's really got to grips with how to throw this thing around. It's so unnatural for a circuit racer to embrace going sideways and sliding. But the beauty of Race of Champions is they adapt. And they transfer their skills.
And a big win for Vettel.
Dominated that.
He's through to the final.
He cares so much.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Virginia says, I'm still disappointed. They're racing on snow and ice and there's not a Canadian team. It's true.
Let's get some Canadians in for next year.
Jacques Villeneuve and Lance Stroll. That would be a
Let's
nice
get
little
some Canadians in.
So Vettel in the final. And we're going to have Seb v Seb. The RX Supercar Lights machine will be the Loeb and Ekström duel. And there is Ekström. If Loeb wins this, he goes through. If Ekström wins, he's in the bank already, Sebastian Loeb. But if he wins, he goes through to the final to face Sebastian Vettel. If Ekström wins, we have one more run.
So normally you do a little launch there as a tyre cleaning from the pre-grid to the grid.
Right.
But that's just going to put more snow, you know, that's going to bring snow into the studs and tyres. And it's nothing to do with getting heat into the tyres. It's just, I guess, a practice launch on this occasion. Maybe it did disperse some snow from the studs. But it's going to get packed with snow very quickly in the grooves of those tyres. And the studs digging in.
Loeb 1, Matthias Ekström 0. If Loeb wins, he's through to the final. Ekström's got to win to stay in the competition. The Swedes on the right-hand side, in the orange. The Frenchman is on the outside in the black. Oh, wow!
Beautiful.
Wow! Superb from Ekström.
But these are machines that they are very comfortable in. You know, they both raced in the World Rallycross Championship. So this is an absolute masterclass in how to do this.
Ekström ahead at the moment. But Loeb will close in a little as they come over the bridge. Snow really coming down now. There's a blizzard out there. So close to the inside, it's unbelievable precision from Ekström. But Loeb is going to be ahead at the halfway mark.
Kicks up a huge snow plow. Ekström trying to get the power down and get as much speed down the straight as possible.
0.7 of a second between them. Loeb now a little ahead after going through the first few corners, but the advantage will come back towards Ekström over the bridge. They look like they have about the same distance between them as they did previously. Loeb up through the gears. Down through the gears. Under the bridge. Tucks it in. This is going to be so tight. Maybe Ekström has the advantage. Ekström over the bridge.
Yes, I think this is Ekström's.
To the line. Ekström makes it 1-1. We're going to a decider.
And the margin is bigger than Heat 1, and that was the source of the banter between... And Sebastian Loeb was gracious enough to say, I know I'm quick in the Porsche, but next is the Rallycross car, and that's proved to be wise, because Ekström, in the end, dominated that. 2-second margin.
1-1.
We get a decider between these two.
Look at that at turn 2. I just adored that. Adored it. Here they came to the line.
So they should be in the cars that look the same as this, handle the same as this, but sound completely different. The RX2E cars next, so Rallycross heritage for both of them. And Rallycross cars to decide who makes it through to the final to face Sebastian Vettel. I'm just trying to work out. Ekström's been in the final against Loeb before, but I don't think either of them have been in the final with Vettel.
So this is the third decisive. Matthias, you have the best combined time, so you can choose which lane. Just going to do a quick interview. Let us know which lane you want to start with.
So because Ekström has the best combined times,
Now it's third time.
he gets to choose which lane he wants to be in for the final.
So, third decisive, Matthias.
So the time was important.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because if they go to the decider, they get to choose their favourite lane. Now the lanes are pretty much equidistant because if you unravelled the entire track, the time of the inside line and the outside line is completely evened out through one entire race. But it may well be that there's one lane that Matthias Ekström would rather choose.
So,
right then,
since we do best of 3 heats,
let's hear from them, shall we?
And in the final,
They have got one more run to go.
the driver with the
Ekström or
fastest
Loeb will be in the final.
total time gets to pick the lane, and I think Matthias is the one with the fastest time, so you get to pick the lane.
Okay, Matthias, you have to choose which lane you would like to do.
Actually, I don't know which is the fastest, but I felt the left one was good now, so I take the one I was best on.
So which one is it, inside or outside?
Inside.
Okay.
Inside.
Okay. Good luck.
I take the right one.
Very good.
He's such a funny man, Sebastian Loeb. I think people have underestimated him over the years because he's so sharp. He's such a charming man, as well as an absolute weapon in anything he drives. Can he beat Matthias Ekström?
Ekström folds himself into the car. Head-to-head for a place in the final. Same format in the final as well, a best of 3.
And I'm intrigued because Matthias Ekström has considerably more experience in competing in electric vehicles than Loeb does. He was the champion of the inaugural Puri TCR Championship last year, which is now the FIA E-Touring Car World Cup. And of course, his mission on Dakar, in which he won a stage in the Audi RSQ e-tron, which has an electric powertrain. So here, maybe a little bit more experience, testing time, track time, desert time with an electric powertrain could just give Matthias Ekström a tiny advantage, but ridiculous to say that considering he's facing Sebastian Loeb, who can drive anything inch perfectly.
Chevy 48 has recommended some Canadian drivers, obviously Villeneuve, Hinchcliffe, Latifi, Stroll.
Oh yeah, and Lestage. Yeah, Antoine Lestage would be good, rally driver. Thank you for that.
We'll get on the phone for next year. Sin says, excited for the final, but sad that Rock Sweden is almost over.
Same.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
But it's been phenomenal, Jack. And just the changing conditions. You know, we've had days of beautiful sunshine, days of thick blizzard, and today this heavy snow is sweeping in from the north, right across the Baltic. And it just adds extra spice to these final battles.
And I think the snow and ice really makes it feel like an off-season event, like something a bit different, in a way that the tarmac doesn't necessarily. Like it just feels like a real adventure. Out goes Loeb. In the RX2E, followed by Matthias Ekström. Ekström saying, I don't know which lane is faster, but that one was all right.
Yeah, you're going to pick the one, superstitiously, the one you just won on, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it's our first decider of the semi-finals. Our first proper decider of the day.
Yeah,
really.
we had one sort of in all but name in the quarterfinals when Kristoffersson and Ekström were separated by 100th, so it was basically a decider, but it's our first literal one.
Black Sabbath.
We had a bit of Papa Roach earlier.
Yeah.
It's very hardcore here, isn't it?
I love it. It's very Swedish.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
All metal, all the time. I'm very excited for this. Ekström versus Loeb. See, I can't... the only thing that can separate these for me is the familiarity with an electric powertrain. That's the only thing that I can think. Because they've both raced against each other in Rallycross. Both got such multidiscipline skill. Both won Race of Champions 3 times.
Sebastian Loeb, 9-time World Rally Champion, 3 times Race of Champions winner. The same is true of Ekström. One of them will get to go for the 4th to match Didier Auriol. They'll have to beat Vettel to do it.
Just watching the big screen.
Will it be Ekström or Loeb? Just having a bit of track preparation at the moment is what they're waiting for. Done an amazing job, not only to get us on the big track for today, but also to keep on top of it in these incredibly snowy conditions. There you can see it.
Massive shout out to the organisers and the people who prepared this track, because if you didn't watch yesterday, there's a Baltic tidal storm basically rose 30 centimetres through the track.
Yeah.
And yet we still continue to have an incredible event, the Rock Nations Cup yesterday, and now we're really stretching our legs around the full track today. So yes, chapeau to everyone who's made this possible. Great team.
Lena says, never watched any races apart from F1, but this Rock Sweden is exciting. Let's go Seb. Both Sebs.
Yeah, we could have an all Seb final.
Beards covered in snow is the order of the day. Grimaces are the order of the day.
But they're hard.
Regretting life choices is the order of the day, but they are being rewarded with one of the best motorsport competitions around. You can see as we look at it there, on the right-hand side is beach. We've gone away now, but then in the middle part, you see that's where the sort of sea begins. And the outside sweepers here are on the frozen Baltic Sea. It's just phenomenal. Right, there goes Ekström.
Tightens the belts.
Blink 182.
These won't blink for the 182 seconds that they're driving around the track.
Exactly. It'll come down to all the small things coming together for these two drivers. The loser will be thinking, say it ain't so.
Stop.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
Practice launch coming up. There we go. Tyre cleaning, practice launch. But the studs are already full of snow. Matthias Ekström just making sure that he's happy with the car, because of course once you pull up to the start line, if you have any issue with the car, it's too late to flag it up to the marshals.
I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah, me too.
This is like intense stuff. The snow piling down at Pittihavsbad, about 15 minutes outside the beautiful little town of Pitja. An hour flight north of Stockholm. And Matthias Ekström and Sebastian Loeb are in the semi-final tiebreak. One of them will face Sebastian Vettel in the final. Wait for the green light. Long hold. There we go. Looked like a better start from Loeb. Swings it into the first corner. Loeb has been so quick through turn 1 there, because usually the inside car gets a bit more of an advantage. Okay, he does to turn 2, Ekström, and starts to extend it. On board with Ekström through the Baltic bends. Now this long left-hander.
Keep his micro adjustments all the way around there. It was not smooth.
Loeb in the black car chasing him down. Under the bridge for Ekström. Over the bridge for Loeb, and Loeb's going to be ahead at the halfway mark. Oh, big slide for Ekström.
I think he put the power down because he saw Loeb being ahead.
Nosing around that first corner. Big advantage for Sebastian Loeb. The blizzard is coming in off the Baltic. wrestling with the car, but Loeb's advantage now is very big.
Yeah, Loeb is smashing this. And he didn't have the choice of the lane, although he claimed he chose after.
Oh, and in the bank again from Ekström. Sebastian Loeb is coming under the bridge already. Surely this is going to be Loeb in the final. Oh, he's getting very sideways out of the final turn. Checker flag falls. Loeb is through. Beats Matthias Ekström by 1.7 seconds. And Sebastian Loeb will face Sebastian Vettel in the final as he looks for his 4th Race of Champions win. The man is on fire. He just doesn't stop.
We saw what it meant to him to win Monte Carlo a couple of weekends back. But that, to see him fist pumping in the car, it still really matters. Disappointment for Matthias Ekström. Couldn't quite bring it together in the RX2E car, which means I was wrong.
Look how quick Loeb was through that first corner. Unbelievable.
Just a beautiful shot of the two of them drifting into turn 1. Absolutely beautiful.
That was a bit of a moment there for Ekström coming out of that final corner. And then this, I think this is where he fully nosed in, coming through the loop there. Yeah, you can see the front starting to kick up the snow as it goes all over the windscreen. Majestic.
Majestic. But Ekström, the last of the Swedes in the competition here in Sweden, means that there will not be a local hero in the final.
Correct, and there were 3 Swedes out of the 4 drivers in the quarterfinals for in the off-road section.
The body language from Matthias there, kind of saying, "Yeah, I just wasn't good." That's the translation of that.
So, if you're a fan of Seb's, you're going to enjoy the final here. Sebastian Vettel and Sebastian Loeb head-to-head on the frozen Baltic Sea to win the Race of Champions 2022.
And I've just been going back through the history books, and I don't think we've had that final before. They've both been in the final, they've both won it, but we've not had the double Seb final.
Wow, tremendous stuff. Let's get down to Molly just before we go to the final.
Matthias, what a shame. You're not in the final, but it looked like you gave it absolutely everything.
Yeah, it was a couple of smaller mistakes, but when they sweep the track so it's freshly clean, it's so difficult because you have no idea which corner will surprise you, and I had 2 moments and that was too costly to beat Sebastian, but anyway, this is what it is. It's an outdoor sport, so you can't really complain, and I had to choose to pick line, so yeah, it's a little bit flip the coin, and then I didn't nail it. So well done to him, and I will wish him good luck for the final.
You all talk about it being fun and games, but when you get down to the semi-finals, trying to get into the final, how serious is it then?
I do my best every time I put the helmet on and go racing. So of course I don't want to lose. Sebastian and me, we have been battling on the rallycross tracks lately now in Dakar. So I know he's a fair competitor, but I think he knows that I will not give you anything for free as well. So for sure, it's nice to come this far, but when you're so close, you also want to go all the way. But it's where it is. I'm not disappointed in terms of angry, but for sure frustration. You're so close, but there will come more chances, hopefully.
Seb Vettel against Seb Loeb. Who's going to win?
Loeb.
Okay.
I think he's just faster.
Okay.
In this condition, maybe not in a Formula 1 car.
You get to drive a lot, it's good.
Well, short and sweet.
Yeah, very decisive. No hesitation in answering that.
Super. Okay. Super.
May the best man win.
Seb wins.
Seb wins, for sure.
The final will be best of 5. So we're going to see a lot of Loeb versus Vettel coming up. Dame Kitness says, as an Australian, I've never been more confused about the fact that there's crowds in this weather.
Interesting, I can see that Loeb's wearing his Dakar gloves from when he was driving the Pro Drive BRX Hunter in the deserts of Saudi Arabia just a few weeks back, before he then went to Monte Carlo and taught all the young guns a lesson or two. And of course, the conditions in Monte, you know, there was snow and ice, like here. And he was, if I remember correctly, I think Sebastian Loeb was the first non-Scandinavian ever to win Swedish rally. So he has pedigree in these conditions, notwithstanding the fact that he's made it through to the final against that man.
Their first names are spelled differently. Loeb is Sebastian, Vettel Sebastian. But apart from that, still two Sebs. Sebastian Vettel straps his helmet on, getting ready for the first heat in the final of the Race of Champions Snow and Ice. He's got to beat one of the best there is on snow and ice, Sebastian Loeb. It's best of 5. The first driver to win 3 heats wins Rock 2022. What a brilliant event it has been. So much fun, such an adventure. Sebastian Vettel, he's gone for a run every morning in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, and got an ice beard in the process each time.
Absolute craziness. But they've all just loved every minute of being here. Ice baths. Final will be best of 5 heats. So that is going to be very interesting.
And they're in the Polaris Razor Pro XP to begin with. It'll be interesting to see how many of the 4 cars they will use. Because we know that Loeb is good in everything, but he said himself that he knows he's got to grips with the Porsche possibly better than anyone else.
The crowd are getting into it.
Warming up their hands. Everyone at home, clap along.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
I don't know what the music is there.
I think it's a famous Swedish
okay.
band.
I don't know many famous Swedish bands. Oh, halfway through that, I obviously remembered ABBA. ABBA and a band called Baskery are my only 2 Swedish bands that I know. The drummer from ABBA,
The Hives,
had a brief Formula 1 appearance.
Really?
Career, yeah. And it was sponsored by ABBA.
Really?
Yeah, 100% true. There is Sebastian Vettel making his way to the start line, and there is Sebastian Loeb. Slim Borgud raced in 1981 and 1982. 81 he raced for ATS, scored a point, finished 6th in the 1981 British Grand Prix, which was won by John Watson, I think. Anyway, that was then.
Interesting there that Sebastian Loeb unbuckled his belts to adjust his seat slightly further forward. So he will naturally try and assume the rally driver position, which is closer to the steering wheel. Or maybe he just couldn't reach the pedals.
Thank you to Geordie. That song was it's Twisted Sister, I Wanna Rock.
Oh.
Apparently an American band.
Yeah, Twisted Sister.
Thank you. Right. Vettel on the right-hand side in the Polaris. Here comes Sebastian Loeb on the left.
Last-minute seat adjustment for Sebastian Loeb. And here he'll do a practice launch. Look at the car, dips back and dips forward. Accelerate and brake. And the same thing happens all the way around the track on the sport suspension, which is the kind of Goldilocks setting. There's 3 settings on the suspension on these Polaris Razors. And the one that these are set at is the middle one, Sport.
Getting ready to go then. With Vettel on the right-hand side, Loeb on the left-hand side. Best of 5 heats, so it's not all over in the first heat. It's not all over in the second heat. It's only a 3-0 that will wrap it up early. The conditions, the snow, 2 legends go flying down towards the first corner.
Scrabbling to get pointed in a straight line with 4-wheel drive on these side-by-sides as they go side-by-side around the first set of corners.
Vettel in orange, Loeb in blue, and that was neat and tidy from Vettel through the first couple of corners, through the Baltic bends.
Pure focus, no blinking. sideways there from Vettel. It was like unsettled as he went on the transition from sea to beach.
Unsettled from Vettel.
Listening to heavy metal.
Under the bridge.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, they lost a little bit of momentum there through that left-hander, did Vettel. And Loeb is ahead. At the halfway mark! Big hit in the wall from Vettel. That looked like he really clobbered the barriers.
Like that would be a grind in the snowboarding in the Winter Olympics.
Loeb 2.6 seconds ahead. At the halfway point. Look at the concentration in Vettel's eyes.
The suspension travel and the studs digging in. He's so cool and calm.
Gets on the power again. Down towards the bridge. Vettel's quite a long way back here. He's going to get the quicker run over the bridge, though. Loeb through the left. Keeps it neat and tidy. Vettel's going to be there or thereabouts. But crucially, it's Sebastian Loeb who goes 1-0 up. Looking for his 4th victory in the race of champions, Sebastian Loeb. Vettel unable to match him in Heat 1.
Thumbs up there. Always the gentleman. So it's fascinating for Loeb because he won it the last year. He won Race of Champions the last time it was almost a pure rally driver event in Gran Canaria in 2003 before he started dominating the World Rally Championship. But then he won it at the Stade de France in Paris and won it again in Wembley Stadium. Oof. It's a scary moment for the passenger there and for anyone standing within 100 yards of that.
He's on board. Unflustered though, Vettel. It's just the run to the line. Loeb takes it.
First blood, Sebastian Loeb.
Again, times don't matter. It's just the fact that it's 1-0. And then we'll be moving on to the second heat in the final.
And this is demonstrative of the essence of Race of Champions. The fast drivers have to be quick at adapting between two different cars, and when it's the final like this, they have to do it instantly. They don't have another race in between to get the adrenaline flushed out and move on to the next car. It's literally out of one into the other.
And that's what some of the E-Rock drivers were struggling with yesterday. This is what happened in the E-Rock final between Lucas Blakely and Jarno Opmeer. Jarno Opmeer on the inside in the Porsche, Lucas Blakely on the outside in the black Porsche. And they too, like in the real world, had to be so tentative and careful with the rear-wheel drive machines. And as you can see, this track built in Assetto Corsa, pretty much identical to the real track that we've been racing on. And it was such an intense competition. Lucas Blakely on the top, on the left-hand side. Jarno Opmeer on the bottom. Opmeer, 21-year-old Dutchman, 2 times F1 Esports world champion in the last 2 seasons. Lucas Blakely pushed him hard last season in F1 Esports, finished 3rd in the standings. But Blakely was 5.6 seconds ahead at the halfway mark. Really did an impressive job. Had to get up at 2 a.m. on Thursday morning to fly from Glasgow down to Amsterdam, Amsterdam up to Stockholm, and then Stockholm up to Luleå, and then an hour or so drive here, so a bit of a trek. But he really was in a superb performance. And let's not forget, Blakely, after winning this, after finishing second in this, ended up beating Sebastian Vettel in real life yesterday.
Transitioning skills from the sim world to the real world. And so this was there was a qualifiers to get to this point, the world final. And so many people entered, qualified, and we had the world final where 4 drivers raced against each other, including James Baldwin, the previous reigning E-Rock champion. And this was a straight race between them, but they were also judged on their skills out on track and given points by Petter Solberg, Oliver Solberg and Terry Grant. So it had to be a combination of their virtual racing and their real racing.
And then yesterday they competed in the as Team E-Rock All-Stars, and they ended up losing to Germany, but Blakely beat Sebastian Vettel, as I say, but then Schumacher beat Otmar, Vettel beat Otmar, and then Mick Schumacher beat Lucas Blakely. So this was the second run between them in the Porsches, and Jarno Otmar was looking strong out ahead. And he didn't qualify, actually, Jarno Otmar, for the final. There was a vote of which sim racer should join, and being a very popular man on social media, Jarno Otmar, he won that vote on overtake.gg, and he made it count. Blakely was really frustrated with his run in the final, made too many silly errors, felt he only had himself to blame, because here came Jarno Otmar out of the final couple of corners, out towards the line, and it was very, very close at the end, just a tenth of a second between them. But Jarno Otmar won the E-Rock World Final of 2022. Next up, we've got heat number 2 in the real world final at Race of Champions, snow and ice. That's Vettel. He's 1-0 down after being beaten in the Polaris by Sebastian Loeb. Loeb 1-0 up. He'll be on the right, Vettel on the left. Heat 2 begins now.
Bouncing in the rutted snow and ice down that start-finish straight.
It's like trying to drive on tram tracks. Oh, that's deep in from Vettel into turn 2. Gets on the power now. He can see Loeb ahead. He can chase Loeb ahead.
But he also knows the rallying and rallycross pedigree that Loeb has. This is a car he's much more familiar with than Vettel.
Loeb under the bridge.
Love the sound of that RX supercar lights engine.
Oh, Vettel's quite close as they come across the line. He might be ahead of the halfway mark. Not quite. But there's only 2 tenths between them. Vettel now on the inside lane. He'll pull ahead, but then Loeb will get that advantage back at the bridge. On board with Vettel. He'll now swing it left. Doesn't look like he's quite as far ahead as Loeb was at this point on the previous turn. A little tap of the right rear on the snowbank for Loeb. It's all going to come down to this. Vettel's ahead as he comes under the bridge. But how much speed is Loeb going to be able to take? Slides out the rear. Loeb's going to get it again. Checker flag, 2-0. Sebastian Loeb beats Vettel by 3.6 seconds.
That's a huge gap.
And it's 2-0.
All the pressure is on Vettel. He has to win this next heat.
See, even the rallycross cars trying to get some traction. Look how close Loeb is to the inside there. And there, a little tap on the rear as well on the way into the Husky loop.
But what he's doing there, Loeb, is he's setting up so that he can take that sweeping Husky bend all in one smooth line.
Loeb 2, Vettel 0.
Completely contrasting emotions in the two
Autant
cockpits.
de laps que tu as besoin pour te retrouver à l'intérieur, pour pouvoir faire l'exit hairpin. On veut que tu sois à l'opposé, la voiture comme ça sous l'arche.
Explaining how the podium
Donc, tu dois faire le
celebrations
exit, un
will
U-turn dans
work.
l'exit. Sur le outside track. Sur le outside, de ce côté comme ça.
Public,
Voilà, public à la sens inverse.
We just have to, because of course this could be the decisive match. So they need to know what to do, what the protocol is after the race to get to the podium. But that's not to discount the fact that Vettel has one more chance to stay in this final and make it to his second win Race of Champions. Last time Sebastian Vettel won, and the first time he won, 2015 at the Olympic Stadium in London. But Sebastian Loeb has won it 3 times. Gran Canaria, Stade de France, and Wembley Stadium.
F1 with me asks, is there an official playlist somewhere, or am I going to have to make my own? This soundtrack is as good as the racing.
You've got to include AC/DC on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now keep it. Because if it gets cold, it gets much worse. So better to have it on to have the heat from the... And try to pull them a little bit out.
Glasses advice.
But put the fan on in the car. Makes big difference. In the electric car, to put the fan on to get a little bit...
That's Johan Kristoffersson giving Loeb the glasses advice. Easy for me to say. Giving Loeb the glasses advice.
If you win, did you get it?
So Sebastian Loeb looking for 3-0 against Sebastian Vettel. Vettel has got to win.
He's saying you do the donuts celebration, and you do what you want, and then you go to the podium. So.
Loeb getting strapped in. Let's get down to Molly before potentially the deciding heat.
Ingemar, you've been sitting here, I think, since the racing started today. It's quite exciting, yeah?
It's very exciting.
What do you think of what's been happening out on track so far?
It's been very, very nice watching, and they are so good racers.
Have you picked up some tips?
Yes, a little bit, but now it's too late. I cannot practice the tips.
Tell us a little bit about your race earlier on today.
It was a lot of fun, but quite difficult with our cars.
And also the atmosphere here with all the drivers, all the legends. What's it like?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic to meet all the drivers, and they're all nice guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, Ingemar.
Thank you.
Ingemar Stenmark, Swedish skiing hero, gold medalist in 2 occasions in 1980, both in Lake Placid, won the giant slalom and the slalom. Bronze in 1976 in the giant slalom in Innsbruck. 2 world championships. 3 world championship gold medals in 78 and 82. Hard rock, hallelujah. What a perfectly appropriate... In fact, were they Swedish? Was this band Swedish? I can't remember their name. Won the Eurovision Song Contest. Anyway.
No, Finnish, Lordi.
Oh, Finnish, Lordi, yeah.
Lordi, Jack.
Yeah, I know. You can't be getting those mixed up around here, can we? Don't tell anyone I said that.
So the advice from Johan Kristoffersson looks like it's working for Loeb for now. Glasses aren't steaming up.
Because look at the bottom right. That flapping means the fan's turned on.
Yeah. All the crucial tiny details that go into making someone an absolute legend. While Seb's got, the other Seb, Vettel's got his door open to let the inside of the car remain cool and acclimatized to the outside.
So Loeb pulling up to the arch.
Goes for a practice launch.
This the electric car. A win for Loeb. He's the champion. A win for Vettel. We go again. French flag on the rear of Loeb's car. The car's in drive. Vettel alongside.
It was a little clean of the inside of the windscreen there. He looks pumped. He looks ready.
Potentially the deciding race of the 2022 Race of Champions Snow and Ice here in Pidi-Havsbad. Sebastian Loeb is 2-0 up against Sebastian Vettel. If he wins this heat, He wins his 4th race of champions. The light goes green. The race begins in these electric rallycross cars. Loeb is on the blue, in the outside. Vettel in the black, on the inside. Loeb felt like he went in a bit too deep there into turn 2.
That was a mistake from Loeb. It's okay to lean on the snowbanks a bit. And I know he was setting himself up for the inside of the next corner, but that was too wide.
Now up into the long left-hand loop. Sebastian Vettel in the black has a reasonable advantage, but he's rubbing the snowbanks as well. This is going to be really, really close at the line. I think Loeb still might have the advantage. You can hear the studs getting in. Oh, Vettel's almost in the bridge. And Loeb now is ahead, halfway at the halfway mark.
Loeb getting air coming off the bridge there, while Sebastian Vettel hitting the wall on the way through the bridge.
And look at Loeb's advantage, and it's just going to grow. Oh, Vettel in the back.
Covered our commentary caravan with snow from that bank clip. Oh, no,
it's Loeb off. It's Loeb off. Loeb's off. Sebastian Loeb, after looking set to win, is facing backwards on the Baltic bends. It's all coming back to Sebastian Vettel now. These two legends of motorsport pushing to the absolute limit. And we're going to go down to a 4th race. If Vettel can just keep it together.
He won't know, though. He'll still be keeping the pressure on. He'll think he has to deliver an absolutely smashed time.
Here comes Vettel over the bridge. It looked as though it was slipping away. Never discount Vettel. He's still in the fight. 2-1.
Wow, that is a rare mistake from Sebastian Loeb. There we go.
Across the line comes Loeb. A big smile on his face, a wry grin, I should suppose. Maybe he just wants to race again.
Yeah. Not ready for those donuts yet. Oh, look at the slush there.
Yeah.
This is a massive slush puddle. Let's see what happened.
What a race.
Yeah, amazing.
Now watch the blue car is Loeb, black is Vettel. Vettel looked strong in the early stages, but then he nearly went into the bridge when he was trying to go under the bridge. Sebastian Loeb 2-1 up. That was Vettel's first hit of the snowbank.
He has adapted so well to this car.
This was Loeb through the long left-hander. This was Vettel coming under the bridge. Look at this.
Oh, goodness me. That could have ended much worse.
So then what? And this was then Vettel hitting the bank on the outside, right in front of us, up on 2 wheels. And then what happens with Loeb? He's coming through the Baltic bends. All looks under control. Oh! And then it isn't.
Yeah, very much not. Is that the same place where Timmy Hansen went over there?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was the win for Sebastian Vettel.
And he'd have come across that finish line going, well, where's other Seb?
Wow. This is fantastic.
So I think one of the things that happened there is they got out of the internal combustion engine RX Supercar Light, which feels very similar, but you have to treat it completely different in the electric RX2E. So I think that's what happened there.
Back in the Polaris. Molly?
Johan, watching this showdown quite closely out here in the garage, and we just seen Loeb make a very rare mistake. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. I thought that he will have this one as Sebastian Vettel was pushing very, very hard and did some mistakes on the way, so I think Loeb was leading. But yeah, then he did rarely mistakes. So, but after that mistake, probably he won't do a mistake now for a couple of years, so he's good for now.
It would be natural to say that Loeb has a small advantage on this surface and these kind of cars, but do you think also that Vettel is a bit of a wild card here? He could come forward and show something special?
I think now, Vettel had a go already in the Polaris just a couple of minutes ago, so now, they are so good and so professional, these drivers, so they pick up tips and tricks very quickly, and to get back out now in the same conditions and in the same car again, he might have a chance, but of course Loeb is also very fast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the interesting thing here is that the first heat of this final, Vettel versus Loeb, was in the Polarises, Polari, and Loeb won by 2 seconds.
But Vettel has got another race in the Polarises under his belt now, after that first heat. We're in the same situation for this race now, at the Race of Champions, snow and ice. If Loeb wins, he is the champion. Vettel has got to win to take it to 2-all. They swing it through the first 2 corners. Loeb looking quick.
Little bits of bodywork flying off the underside of these cars as they get hit by the snow and ice flying up from this suspension.
Through the Baltic bends, then into this long loop. Loeb is looking good. He's almost that full corner ahead, isn't he? Vettel wrestling with the Polaris. Loeb under the bridge.
Just to add a little bit of jeopardy here, it looks like the sea is actually rising a little bit again. That tidal storm is coming in, which makes that Baltic bends even more Baltic.
Vettel is ahead at the halfway mark by 0.7 of a second. So it's very, very tight between them. Loeb may be losing a bit of momentum through turn 2. Now they were right together at the line, and that was after Loeb had pretty much this whole left-hand corner advantage over Vettel, and I would suggest it's not dissimilar, this advantage that Vettel has. This is going to be a real chance for Vettel to take it to a decider. Here he comes now, swings it right, under the bridge.
Brilliantly sideways, exactly the right angle to take that corner in.
Here they come towards the line, Loeb comes over the bridge, they're neck and neck, but it's Loeb who wins the Race of Champions 2022. 0.8 of a second ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Loeb is a 4-time winner. And sometimes you wonder if he'll ever stop winning. Sebastian Loeb matches Didier Auriol as having won 4 Race of Champions. An incredible performance. Vettel was there the whole way, and taking on Sebastian Loeb on snow and ice is quite the feat. Huge respect between these 2 drivers, huge respect between all of the drivers that we have here. And Loeb saying, I think,
we should do some donuts.
Exactly.
So we might now see some precision side-by-side donuts in their side-by-sides. Superb performance by Sebastian Loeb.
Loeb waving to the crowd that have stood here for 3 hours in negative temperatures, getting blasted in the face with snow, but they have been treated to some absolutely superb action, and he's going mad, jumping over the banks.
That's what these Polaris side-by-sides are built to do. Love it. Doesn't need the glasses anymore.
It's a tight run thing. Vettel did really well to stay in that, which I appreciate as a 4-time F1 world champion. Maybe we sound a little patronising, but it's not that at all. It's just Loeb is one of the greatest ever on snow and ice.
Sports-wise, it's Loeb's backyard.
Yeah.
It's his wheelhouse.
So Vettel has done a phenomenal job to take it to a 3rd heat.
And so close as well in that heat.
A 4th heat, sorry, it was.
In the 4th heat. Slippery up there.
Yeah.
Might as well jump to get off the car. Van Halen advice there for Loeb.
Another victory for Sebastian Loeb. He now becomes the joint most successful driver in the Race of Champions. It's Frederick Johnson, the founder of this event.
Big smile on Sebastian Loeb's face.
Julien has tweeted on #RockSweden, Le Goat.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
I think we can concur with that. been quite a beginning of the year for Sebastian Loeb. Win Monte Carlo, second on the Dakar, win Race of Champions, and for most motorsport the season hasn't even started
I thought
yet.
we were in the off-season, exactly. Right, go on then, Molly. Let's hear from Sebastian Loeb, 4 times Race of Champions champion.
Seb Loeb, champion of champions at the Rock Snow and Ice 2022. You've had so much success this year, but how much does this one mean?
Too fast this time. Well done, huh?
Thank you. You too,
Clean,
huh?
clean, man.
Very good.
How much does this one mean?
Yeah, for sure. It means the rest of my good start of season. So second in the Dakar, victory in the Monte Carlo, and victory here in the Race of Champions. So yeah, for sure, I'm really happy. It's not easy for us to be here in front of all these Swedish, Norwegian guys and so on, because they are really used to that. But okay, I had a good feeling this weekend. I could find my rhythm. A nice show in the third round of the final when I lost completely the control of the car.
I was also up on the barrier.
Ah, yeah?
That run. Yeah.
And now you equal Didier's record.
Yes, great. So I don't know how long it was that I was here for the last time, but it's quite a long time.
In Düsseldorf.
So a long time after, still in the rhythm, so for sure I'm happy.
And Seb, good battle?
Yeah, I mean, for him, yes. He was too fast. So I was, the conditions were getting trickier. It was getting more and more slippery. And I thought here and there I had a good run, but then here and then I had mistakes. So he did really well and deserved to win. So in these conditions, I think I have a bit of catching up to do. But yeah, obviously great to be out here. I really enjoyed it. So many people as well. I don't know how they withstand the conditions, the cold, but no, it's great to be here, and I hope we do come back to Sweden.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
First and second in the 2022 Race of Champions, Sebastian Vettel and Sebastian Loeb. Trophies will be handed out in a moment. Thank you to all of you for tuning in around the world over the last couple of days. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this really entertaining competition, and ending in a snowstorm is absolutely perfect, really, isn't it?
And a rare moment that encapsulates Race of Champions is Sebastian Vettel just saying to Sebastian Loeb, "We were just too fast."
Yeah.
I mean, it's not very often you get a racing driver just fessing up, but that's what it came down to.
Getting snow in the beards.
Yeah, but just photographers also.
I've gone the snow. It's too hot this
First time I use some classes in Sweden, so I get
Okay, let's present the Champions Trophy. It will be presented by Fredrik Jonsson, who is president and founder of Race of Champions, and that goes to Sebastian Loeb, representing France. Congratulations. And we'll also present the runner-up trophy. That will be presented by Tobias Lindfors, the chairman of Peter Havsbad Group, and that goes to Sebastian Vettel from Germany.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Can we go there?
Wait. One more trophy. One more trophy. Yeah. Okay.
Big trophies in the Race of Champions, aren't they? Vettel on the right, Loeb on the left. I don't need to tell you that. But they've some huge trophies.
The boss.
I think the last time Vettel was beaten in the final was by Felipe Albuquerque when he won in Düsseldorf in 2010.
They won the champagne.
Yeah. Give it one more for the photography.
Are we wet enough? Yes, no?
Are we wet enough?
Spray everybody else.
Okay, guys, it's time to celebrate. Go
That's the
ahead.
strategy.
A wonderful weekend in Peter Havsbad in Sweden.
It's been a while.
The champagne has frozen closed. Who's going to get there? Who's going to win? The battle's over the champagne. It's Loeb. Loeb gets the champagne open quickest.
But gentlemanly, he waits for Vettel to get his open.
Loeb's
Cork's
now
frozen in.
Four-time champion of the Race of Champions. Thank you so much for joining us. That sums up the season. Sebastian Loeb is the winner.
Nope, not coming. Hang on. Yeah. Give it Shit.
Got it break.
Yeah. You can.
I'm not like this.
Cheers. Look at this.
Årets upplaga utav Race of Champions Snowrise här på lite havsbad. Jag hoppas att vi syns här nästa år igen när vi kommer att göra en ny upplaga. Fortsätt ha en riktigt underbar helg. Tack så mycket här uppe på Stigkronet. Christian Holmud signar nu ut.
Ice bath. No? Ice bath? Who stays longer?
No, 100%. You do competition.
Pre-match?
You see somebody win.
Can you give us a shot of camera, please?
But you can tell Daniel.
I think he beats that. Can you give them a shot?